Hey, gamers! Welcome back to a brand new DSP video. We're going to be watching DSP's opinion on The Last of Us Season 2. Now, I did watch Last of Us Season 2 just for this fucking video, by the way. The episode that he references, I did watch it. I do have opinions of it. In short, I do think that the second season is not as good as Season 1. But I also don't think it's as bad as people are saying it is to a certain degree. Like, I'm not a huge fan of the pacing, and I heard that they're gonna do Ellie's side of the story for season 2, and then season 3 is gonna be like Abby's side of the story, which, in my opinion, is the safest decision you can make. I'm not a fan of that. Just tell both stories in season 2. Like I don't care. Like I don't like having to split this into another season. Secondly, it also means I have to wait even longer to see the GOAT, the Rat King on TV. Like, I'm sorry, if I know a lot of people hate The Last of Us 2, but I will die on the hill of the Rat King was the goated thing to come from that game. Like, the Rat King was the coolest enemy, the best boss fight in the game. It's the only boss fight as far as I care. And it's the best thing. So, I'm sorry. Last of Us is a lot of things, but the Rat King is the GOAT, okay? And the fact that I have to wait for season 3 to see the Rat King on screen is a crime. The Rat King is the coolest thing. I'm still mad. The Last of Us 2 art book only relegated the Rat King to a tiny little panel. And I'm like, I bought this fucking art book to see the Rat King in glory. And it's just, oh yeah, here's a little tiny little picture of the Rat King. Fuck you. I want the Rat King in glory, bitch. It's the coolest thing. And they just fucking, they want to hide it. Why hide the Rat King? It's the coolest fucking enemy in the game. And they're going, yeah, it's a little page and a little art book. Oh, you want to watch it on TV? It's going to be next season. And I have to wait. And then if they fucking butcher the Rat King, I'm going to be even more upset. So, you know, come on. The Rat King is the coolest thing, and they're gonna make me wait. Bullshit. Come on. I don't want to wait for the coolest thing to show up. Anyways, other than that, it's a whatever. But we'll get to the rest of my thoughts because there's lots of to get through with this fucking take. So let's get into it.
All right. Perhaps the next story will prompt some of you to support the stream.
Yeah, support the stream so we can eat Subway. Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, back in 2020, the world was a different place. In 2020...
I love when we were talking about Last of Us, we always have to talk about 2020. Like, we will never just go straight to the topic. We have to explain what 2020 was.
We had a different president. We had a different person or a different group in charge of the United States government for the most part. And even online, the whole mentality of public opinion and culture basically was very swinging to the liberal side.
No, it wasn't very swinging or whatever. Because the people who were still there back then in 2020 that's still talking about having progressive themes or woke stuff in games or in media, whatever, they're still around and they're still wanting that to be represented in media and all those. Like, these people are not going to go away because they still exist and they still, engage in content, engage in media or whatever. Like, I think it's kind of a pointless discussion to a degree in the sense that, at the end of the day, people should be able to make the content they want to make, and I feel like a lot of people are always insinuating intent or whatever, and it's a loaded topic. But I think reducing it to who's in charge of the government, it's not a enticing discourse, and I think it's a much more nuanced discourse, because as far as the relationship between the consumer and the product, or TV show, games, media, and people who watch said media or play such media, whatever, they're not dictated by the government. The only way that the government is like dictates media or whatever is really up to how the corporations view the out the uh view it, I guess. Like for example, there were a lot of movies like that Pixar were making, some that had either LGBT characters or that they had environmental messages. Since Trump's election, Disney has decided to push back on some of that. I'm like, okay, we're gonna tone down the environmental message of this one upcoming Pixar movie. We're going to change or get rid of some shows that have this kind of messaging in it or whatever. And it's like, but these are like not in relation to the people who watch the content. This is like a corporate level relationship that we're not privy to, and we can't really dictate to. Like, we're not even like in the same like it's not the same discourse in the way that he wants to make it like, oh, it's like the online discourse of like of online culture or whatever. But that's not really the case. Like, these are all, like, in my opinion, kind of like semi irrelevant points to have that he's amalgamating to one that's reducing like kind of like all the other points.
Okay.
Okay.
And so in 2020, when The Last of Us 2 released, and everyone discovered that the game was a bait and switch, meaning the game advertised itself as a direct continuation of the plot of the first game.
But it was like, how is that a bait and switch? It just said, "Oh, this is a continuation of the first game." Okay, it is, because literally everything that happened in that game was based off of what happened in the first game. Like Joel wouldn't have been killed by Abby if the ending of Last of Us 1 didn't happen, correct? But whatever, okay. The bait and switch is just literally Joel. That they showed Joel in all these other trailers, and they didn't want to like have people know that Joel dies at the beginning of the game. And as I said, like I kind of feel like you could have that work, but you do need to have like a little bit like I that's why I feel like if the game just started with Abby, it probably would have gone over better, as opposed to like, we start with Ellie and that's like the first thing that happens. But it's, whatever, right?
Where Joel and Ellie would continue on their journey of survival in a post-apocalyptic wasteland, and you didn't know what was going to happen because Ellie supposedly was the cure to this whole worldwide infection of cordyceps. But what would happen in the second game?
Well,
but come to find out, it was misadvertised. It was a bait and switch. As we all know today, the co-protagonist of the game, Joel, is murdered within the first few hours of the game.
Okay.
And to make it even worse, they allow you to play as Joel in the early game, and then allow you to play as Joel.
What? I don't think you play as Joel at the beginning. Wait, no. No, you do. Never mind. I think you do. I don't remember. I think you're between Joel and Ellie, but whatever.
Later on in a flashback, which just makes you feel even worse, because most people liked Joel as a character, and most people saw him as the main character of the franchise. So to have him be murdered in such a unceremonious way, and now for the rest of the game,
I wouldn't say it's unceremonious how he died. In my opinion, I get that's like it happened too soon. Like you just start the game, that's what happens. But I kind of like I don't know. I didn't feel it's unceremonious, because like the way that cutscene played out was a very like cinematic cutscene. But whatever, okay.
You were forced to either play as Ellie, obviously his adopted daughter, or as Abby, his murderer. Was shocking. Now you might say, well, nothing about that sounds too bad. Well, you're right. To me, that wasn't the problem with the game. The problem was that the rest of the game was literally an insanely ham-fisted.
He just said that people like playing Joel. See, that's terrible. That's not the problem. It's ham-fisted. But the ham-fisted thing that he talks about, I don't even think that it's that ham-fisted. Like, he makes it sound as if like you play Last of Us 2 and Ellie like every 5 minutes talks about socialized healthcare, raise the minimum wage, this stuff, but she doesn't. Like, she's not saying that says, yeah, guys, let's talk about trans rights. Let's talk about this every 5 minutes. Like she doesn't do that in The Last of Us 2 at all. But whatever, okay.
Poorly written, poorly paced, poorly executed, torture porn story. Like literally, Ellie,
Torture porn?
her entire
Whatever.
character is transformed into something completely different.
I know, like, people know my fucking opinion on Ellie's character in this because it's so it shows how little DSP like understands not only the genre or just the basics of what both games are showing him. Like, of course, Ellie in Last of Us 1 was like, oh, that reads a diary. It's like, oh, look how stupid this is. You're talking about romance and going to prom. But it's like, she's like a teenager. Teenagers like have these dumb thoughts all the time, especially if like they've gone through rejection or whatever. She had romantic thoughts for what's that girl's name? I can't remember. She was in Left Behind, but she died, and Ellie had to kill her basically or whatever. She died at the end. Okay, she died, and of course she's not gonna have like any appeal because she's been like kind of going from person to person to person, this and that. Like she doesn't have any time to be herself, basically. And Last of Us 1 also like has them like going place to place, whatever. Last of Us 2, it takes place in a like the beginning of the game takes place in a sheltered camp that's very privileged. Like they have fucking electricity and they have movie nights. Like it is the most privileged society in that setting. So of course they have like the time and luxury to talk about romance at this point. Like it is so funny how all of these little like things that are like in his face just went right over his head. And the other thing is like there was a viral tweet, I guess, or whatever, of this person like saying, oh, like that was kind of shitting on I think Last of Us, but I think in general it's any like zombie movie that focuses on the human drama and not the zombies. And everyone dogpiled on that person saying, you don't understand the genre then. If that's your takeaway, like you're supposed to care more about the human interaction because it's supposed to like play off of the fact that like you know all those basic things that you get. Like that's why in the Left 4 Dead they literally have a joke saying like or who's the real monsters and that because it's like yeah we get it, like you know that's like the joke. But DSP would probably read them like, yeah, that's so true, man. But like doesn't understand like, you know, that's like a very like base level understanding. It's not deep to think that. But the other side that goes on like elevates it. Like it is so insane how he doesn't understand the basics of a zombie story or a post-apocalyptic story in this kind of way, right?
Than the first game. We're to expect that she's forgotten everything about what she learned in the first game and becomes a complete idiot, and then becomes a total.
But she is kind of an idiot in the first game as well. I mean, I need to replay the first one, but I'm pretty sure there's like a well, no, I don't remember. I thought there was like a point where like she like ran off, but I don't think that happened. I think I'm like thinking of like other tropes.
Total revenge fueled psycho killer.
But this is like what I don't understand. Like, how are you like shitting on Ellie for wanting revenge? Like, that's like a basic like a thing you can assume that she would have. Like, she spent all this time with Joel, and she doesn't know Abby's reason to kill him at the time. So wouldn't it make less sense for Ellie to be like, "Oh, you died. Okay, well, you know, that's tough, man." No, like it's kind of this like thing that's a little frustrating with some people that watch movies or whatever, where they don't take into account the like emotional thinking or emotional behavior or whatever the fuck. Like, yeah, you're watching it, you're like, oh, that's dumb, man, but like when you're in the moment, you're not going to be thinking about these things either. But it's like, but revenge is a very basic emotion that anyone would feel. Like that's kind of like the whole thing. Like, I mean, people were complaining. Like, I've seen other criticism saying that Last of Us 2 kind of takes a very cowardly approach to its own theme of about revenge. Like, it doesn't have Ellie end up killing Abby and then feeling bad for doing that. and instead she just like lets her go. And I think like it could go either way, honestly. Like I get either way, you know, it's whatever. I think just in general, our revenge plot is a very basic plot to begin with. I don't think either ending would have like changed. I think they should have just made it an option, like have the player choose, which would then like probably in the grand scheme of things make Naughty Dog be like, which one's the canon ending? When, you know, it kind of goes back to what people said initially, where it's like, does have the Last of Us be an anthology series? Like, have like each game be a different character, which I think would have been the better choice. But they could have started that after Last of Us 2. Like, okay, yeah, either ending could work. We'll never go back. We're not gonna go back to these characters or whatever. And if you do see them, like, we're not gonna address the ending or whatever. I don't know. Like, they could have done other stuff. But as far as like revenge is a very basic plot that anyone could go with. But he just thinks that like Ellie would never do stuff for revenge, man. I mean, she kind of did stuff emotionally even in the first game. Like, it's kind of like insane to assume that she wouldn't feel anything about anything. Like, is she a sociopath? I mean, it's kind of funny that like a lot of people mostly DSP, keep attributing to Ellie being like a psychopath or whatever, but like, I mean, it's not like she's well, like, mentally sound individual. I mean, I don't think anyone would be in a post-apocalyptic future, to be honest. But she wasn't like crazy. She just was like, this person killed Joel, I'm gonna kill her because fuck her. Like, and then it just goes on from that. Like, that's not really a psychopathic thought. It, like, in that context. Whatever.
Meanwhile, Abby, who you're supposed to be told is a likable, sympathetic character, ends up being a horrible person who goes on to basically.
How is that? Wait. Okay. I love how he's like simplifying all these characters when it's like a lot of these characters have a lot of like nuanced conflicts, which again, if you're making a story, that's half the interest you have for people. Like, oh, this person's not perfect. Like, you can't have like perfect people. That'd be insane. But he thinks that explaining Abby's motive for killing Joel is the game telling you that you have to love her and be empathetic to her. Like, part of feeling for a character is to understand some conflicts and how these characters are not perfect. Like, this, like, I mean, let's hear him out, right? I'm gonna rewind a little bit.
Meanwhile, Abby, who you're supposed to be told is a likable, sympathetic character.
The game isn't really saying she's a likable character either. Like, you start off, the first thing you see with her is that she kills Joel. Like, you're already like kind of like conditioned to say fuck her, and then when you like play through, you start to like think, oh, she's the doctor's daughter that Joel killed. Oh shit. Okay, I see why she wants to kill him. Okay, and that's it. Like, you can still like dislike the person. I mean, that's, you know, like, you're watching Breaking Bad. There could be people who don't like Walter White because, get this, Walter White's not a good guy. He's not a great person. He's an anti-hero. You're not supposed to like cheer Walter on, but you do find compelling aspects of Walter's character that makes him an interesting character. Like, it, but whatever, okay.
Character ends up being a horrible person who goes on to basically sleep around with a guy who already has a pregnant girlfriend, but she.
But this is also unfair to, like, I like that he's blaming her for that when the other guy also consented. Like she didn't like rape him or like trick him into having sex with her. Like, because the thing is, they both were in a relationship before. Naturally, if you put those two people in a room, you know, feelings can be reignited again. Like, which makes it a complicated conflict. Like, it's so silly how DSP just sees that and just like is repulsed by it and doesn't really acknowledge the humanistic drama that's there. Like, you know, obviously there's a lot of people that don't like cheating and cheating is bad and this and that. And like, of course, cheating is not like a good act. Nobody like is in love with cheaters or whatever, but not all cheaters are like carbon copy or clear cut bad people. Like a lot of stuff is like muddled with a lot of complicated baggage. Like these are not very like clear cut things. And if he played Last of Us 2 and paid attention, he'd understand that specifically between Abby and what's his name? Was his name like Alex or Owen? I think it was Owen. But those two like had complicated feelings because they both did not end on like super bad terms either. But like they both knew it was fucked up what happened. Like that's the other thing. Like they didn't leave like, yeah, we're together again. Like they both kind of knew what they did was bad, from what I remember. But again, like he's not. He's just saying that's bad. Oh my god, a terrible person. But completely ignores the circumstances around that, which isn't really fair in any kind of way, because you're not really like you're not because that kind of tells me that this person was not interested at all in like what was going on, which is probably the laziest way to like go through a movie or a game or a story or whatever that you're engaged with, just to like ignore what's around you. It's like watching a movie and then like, you stare at the floor the whole time. Like, why are you there then?
She doesn't care.
How
Right?
does she not care?
And she also goes, you know,
whatever.
again, I can continue with how badly this story is
No,
written.
go on.
Basically, there's not a likable character in the story. Like,
But what else did Abby do that was so bad? Like, now of course you could, but the other thing is that there's no one in the game that's likable or whatever. I mean, technically, to a degree, that is a thematic decision as well. I mean, I don't remember much about Let's Play 2 all that much. I kind of need to replay it, I guess. But you could even argue that, you know, maybe, you know, people are not going to be great people in a post-apocalyptic setting, or that there's going to be a lot of tensions there. I mean, but this drama that was between these characters it's like this happens. It kind of shows that DSP was never put in that position before, and he doesn't understand that like there's a lot of like complicated baggage in a lot of ways in a lot of situations. Like nothing is like that simple, and I love that like Last of Us kind of challenge people on that, and DSP is like refuses to engage with the challenge that the game proposes.
like every character in the story is badly written, poorly executed, and not likable whatsoever. In fact, I would go so far to say you'd have to be a sociopath to like any of the characters in The Last of Us 2. But
That is kind of crazy. You have to be a sociopath to like the game? What? Like I think like you can like Walter White. Does that mean that you love meth cooks and you love people that do fucked up things like what Walt does in Breaking Bad? No. Like it's a very different thing. Like it becomes sociopathic if you try to like if you try a little bit more into certain people and they start like saying things that are kind of like I don't know if you should be saying this. I don't like you think this. That's when it starts to show. Not yeah, man. I like this character. Like no one's gonna be like, okay, you need to get help. Okay, get help. You like fucking Abby? Okay, get help, dude. Like that's kind of crazy, and especially coming from a guy who didn't even care when he played, and this was conditioned to hate it. Honestly,
some people did. So obviously, people are stupid.
people are stupid. Why do you talk to these people that like the game? Like, you could easily engage and with people. He engages so easily with people who are like, this game is stupid and bad, and like he's like, yeah, I get it, man. But if someone says that, oh, I actually like the game, I think the characters are good, he may not even engage. He may just say, no, man, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about this other guy. He's gonna do that. I guarantee if someone says, Phil, I agree, but I think I like Abby as a character. Oh, I don't think I'm saying, no, I'm not talking about you, man. I'm talking about these other people that are bad. Like, it's, like, when you're in that kind of argument, maybe you shouldn't make these kind of claims. Right?
Okay? That was
Okay.
my problem with The Last of Us 2. A lot of people had issue because Ellie is gay and because there's a trans character in the game, I didn't give a shit about those things at all. I really didn't feel like there was a problem with those.
But but then how? But what he had a problem with was he talked about like the romance and the way that like Ellie was in like romantic situations was out of character for her. Like that is kind of like you having a problem now. No, see, this just shows that like I mean, I'm not gonna say that DSP is like a bigot or anything. I think he's just a very ignorant person. That he's just kind of like he doesn't understand a lot of things or whatever. I think that's just that's where he's at. So I don't think he has like any like you know malicious intent. I just think he's a very ignorant person that doesn't really understand a lot of things and how they can be perceived by people. Uh but he says that like it's out of character for Ellie to be in a romance, but he has nothing wrong with being gay. So how is she supposed to be portrayed as gay? But she also cannot be in a romantic relationship or have romantic banter with someone uh, in this situation. Like how would that look? Because honestly, yeah, it's a post-apocalypse, so you're gonna be like flirty with a person you're with or whatever. Now, of course, it's gonna bring the hype scene of her like fucking or whatever with her girlfriend uh and getting high or whatever. But like again, when you look at why that happened, they went to a place that they've been like camping, like not camping but patrolling for infected over and over, and they're like, okay, well, this house we know there's no one really here, so we can fucking get high, because it's a safe situation, obviously. But DSP does that point over his head, didn't get it. So how was she supposed to show that? And he made a big deal about that too. Like you can't really win because then if it's like, because you can't, I don't know, like it's just he doesn't really propose how they would have shown that, but at the same time, it's like he doesn't know either, right? Whatever. I guess what should have happened, Ellie should have just kept calling Lena or whatever, like her wife. then these people get it. Then it's like, oh, I get that. I get it.
Things, if the story hit and resonated and was a good one, I probably wouldn't have given a shit about.
Oh my god! Then it's just buzzwords. Yeah, all the story needed was to resonate, Tube. Oh, okay. What does that mean? What if the current Last of Us 2 resonated with me? Dude, it resonated with me. I had the Rat King in it. The Rat King really resonated with me. I when I saw the Rat King show up, I was like clapping. So it does do that. It resonated with me, dude.
About anything besides, okay, but it wasn't. I'm sorry. The story is absolutely terribly written, paced, and it's just a horrible way to progress the story when you have to forget everything from the first game that everyone liked. Ellie grew up the ultimate survivor.
Man, I kind of wonder how people like DSP or some people would have taken the MGS2 bait and switch. I wonder how that would have gone over. I feel it would have gotten worse than it did initially. I think, but again, they didn't kill Snake either. They kept him alive, but I feel like it probably would have been worse, especially with that in that one segment in Sons of Liberty. You know what I'm saying?
Didn't like drama and the way that teens acted because she grew up in a forget everything from the first game that everyone liked. Ellie grew up the ultimate survivor.
The ultimate survivor. But I also like that it's like what everyone liked in the first game. Yeah, when they saw that scene where she was like, "Oh, this diary is stupid," everyone was like, "Oh my god, that's so cool! I love that character trait of hers." She read a diary. She thought it was stupid, and but it's like, man, he misread that scene so bad. Like, man, you want to see someone who's media illiterate? There he is. That's your guy.
Didn't like drama and the way that teens acted because.
And then I just want to bring this up. He has such a weird hatred for teens, nerds, and kids. I don't get it. Like, growing up, sure, I think there was a meme where like, yeah, like you're in high school, you're like ninth grade, the 10th graders like, oh, the ninth graders, they fucking suck, fuck them. Then when you're in 10th grade, like, yeah, the ninth graders, they suck ass. Like, you're always kind of like conditioned to hate people who are younger than you, always in school. But at some point, you're gonna have to realize who fucking cares? Like, and I see this all the time, especially like with articles like, "Oh, millennials hate Gen Z." Oh, this is like, who fucking cares at this point? Like, there's much more things to like kind of discuss in real world if anyone truly cared. The last thing I'm thinking about is like, oh, this guy, oh, they do TikTok memes. Oh, fuck them. Like it just feels like to me the fucking boomers are trying to separate the younger people so that the boomers can always reign supreme. So clearly, it's just the boomer shadow government, poking at us, trying to get us at each other's throats. But anyways, going back to DSP, it's such nonsense. Like, yeah, she hated teen stuff. Dude, she was like a teenager in The Last of Us 1, my guy. Wasn't she like 16 or something? And like, to go off one scene where, by the way, it was right after she overheard Joel like talking about how he wants to dump her somewhere. You don't think that's gonna make her fucking like upset and like just say things that she probably doesn't mean? Like, that's why that scene was so like pivotal, because it shows that like she doesn't care about human interaction because no one did. Like, right after that, she like yells at Joel saying, "Don't tell me I'd be better off with someone else," and all this other stuff. Like, don't like. There's all this stuff that's like right in front of his face, and he's just saying like, "Oh wow, she hates teen stuff because I hate teen stuff too."
Because she grew up in a different world. She was reading a diary of an angsty teen saying, I can't believe teens used to be like that.
An angsty teen. Oh my god. Fucking shut up. I can't believe teens cared about this. So frustratingly dumb. Like, people say that even now. Like, oh yeah, back when I was a teen, I cared about such dumb shit. Like, yeah, when you're a teen, like, even what Ellie was saying is what teens said even back then, and those people grew up to think that that's stupid. Because at some point you have to understand that there's also some value in having like social interaction like that, and DSP just doesn't get it. But of course, obviously he can't get it because he has never been with anyone other than Kat and Panda Lee. And look what happened with Panda Lee when she started interacting with other people.
Like that. Fast forward to The Last of Us 2, Ellie is an angsty teen who's doing all the wrong things, making all the same mistakes that angsty...
What mistakes did she make? Like, the only thing that was a mistake that she did was, like, I guess you pursuing stuff out of revenge, but everything that happened in Last of Us 2 is, like, typical fodder in fucking survival stuff. Like, you know, like, the scene where they were like getting high and like fucking or whatever, I mean, you don't know when an effect is gonna come in, but of course when you're in a privileged society like that they were in, and they're like, we can handle ourselves or whatever, of course they're gonna like throw care to the wind a little bit. Like, they're also young and they're also like still, you know, whatever. Like, they're people at the end of the day. And he acts as if like that scene in Last of Us 1 is like such a poignant scene, but it's just the way she acts is also immature in that too. Like, he acts as if that's a mature way to think this stuff is dumb. It's not like obvious, like, no shit. Of course, there's like other stuff to worry about. Like, I'm reiterating the same point. It's just this dude says such dumb shit. It really makes you like want to just like argue it.
Angsty teens did before the apocalypse. How? You learned already, and you said so in the first game, so how did you regress? It doesn't make sense. It's a poor plot.
But like, how did you regress when you're like in a privileged society? like that she was in with electricity and like all these other comforts that are not allotted to people who don't live there. Of course, you're gonna take stuff. You're gonna start to take stuff for granted more often. Like this is like what's really like the aspect that DSP doesn't understand. Like, and to put it into DSP's terms, you see how DSP keeps hitting the goal and all this stuff, right? And he's not really doing anything thinking about like, well, like to like going like if you go back to before this like surge of money was there and how he used to live, he wouldn't be able to spend money frivolously. He would have to like do some things. Now that he has all this money, look at how he's spending it. Clearly, he has now begun taking support for granted. We went from saying $50 a stream was successful, but now if he goes back to that, he can't maintain his current lifestyle standards, like, which is him now taking that for granted. How has DSP regressed, right? You would think that getting 150 would mean that he can now like save money, and then he can like actually be okay with making less now they're making more money, or be more open to like making whatever. But of course not. But he can't really understand that. Like if all these people went away that supported him, he's gonna be fucked basically because he can't maintain. He's taking all this support he's getting now for granted. He's taking all these supporters for granted. He doesn't give a fuck about them. Like that in a way is what's going on with Ellie. She grew up outside these such comforted societies. So of course she has less luxuries and less time to like think about like whatever. Now she moved into that like little society that have movie nights and all this other stuff. Like she can now start to live a little bit more at peace. Like why do you think that they have kids there? Like nobody's having like I don't think a lot of people are willing to have kids when they're like moving place to place in a post-apocalyptic setting like this, unless they have like a group of people that can be allotted to that. But again, it's a very challenging situation. But okay, whatever.
Plot device because Druckmann, who was fully in charge of the plot of The Last of Us 2 when he was not, he was the co-writer of The Last of Us 1, he decided that he wanted to put it in a different direction to push an agenda. His agenda was to try to get as many people talking about Last of Us 2 as possible through leftist.
Oh, so that's his agenda, to get people to talk about it. This is, man, I swear, every time he talks about Last of Us 2 or Neil Druckmann, he just finds ways. Stupidity finds a way. You know the saying, love finds a way? Well, stupidity finds a way. Like, with that logic, everything ever has an agenda. Everything. Because their agenda is always to make you talk about it. Kojima had an agenda in Metal Gear Solid 2 to make you talk about it, because he changed the character from Snake to Raiden. He's making you talk about it. What a terrible game.
Leftist writing and policies. He purposely
Wait,
put it in a different direction
what?
to push an agenda. His agenda was to try to get as many people talking about Last of Us 2 as possible through leftist writing and policy.
Leftist writing and policies. Leftist policies. This dude, like, it's like he can't talk about politics at all. So he's like kind of like forcing games to fill that void. Like it's like he also can't talk about like classicism or whatever. So he used that into his own like YouTuber hierarchy. Like, oh, the top 1%ers like PewDiePie, they're like terrible people. I'm the little guy, right? Like, okay, dude, whatever. But leftist policies, like he would have a point, kind of, in a way, because people were saying that like he killed Joel so that it's like shock value. Like you're supposed to be like, oh my god, and this that, which I get. Like it's a risk when you're like killing a main character like that. Like that's definitely a risk to take, and as much as people don't like it, and I get it. I'm not gonna like say that people are wrong for that. But I do appreciate the game taking these kind of risks with it. Like I think like, to me, if any risk, if it works or doesn't, I always appreciate the attempt. I appreciate the attempt. Fail or not, I appreciate the attempt. because I would much rather like remember something for failing and trying than yeah, this is kind of boring or whatever. Like, whatever. But to say that he forced liberal agendas is why like it got people talking, like I think that's kind of dumb because I don't think Last of Us 2 really pushed much liberal agendas. Like, okay, it had a character that was trans. Okay, that's just a character, and it wasn't like a big deal. It was like, oh, whatever. It was there, and it made sense with the character's like whole backstory. Abby being muscular, like it makes sense thematically because she wanted to kill Joel. Of course, she's gonna like work out that hard to be it. I mean, you could go on forever about this, but like these are things that are just that are there. Like it's not who like these aren't big deals to me. Like I'm not saying like, oh, look at the fucking liberal agenda. That's like me thinking that if a game has a gun, it's pushing conservative agendas. Oh my god, this game has a gun in it. It must be pushing conservative policies down my throat tube. And it's like, no. Like if they're like if Ellie like talks about like fucking equal pay, fucking free healthcare, cancel student debt, then I'd be like, okay, they're pushing liberal agendas, dude. But it's just like, it's not really that. Just because the game has gay characters and or these characters that are that is not really pushing much of an agenda. It's just having a character that's that. Like, should I assume every game that is a straight white male is a conservative agenda pushing game? No, that'd be silly.
Policies. He purposefully made the story very liberal, so that way, if anyone criticized his game, he could say that they were a bigot.
This is such speculation. He's speculating that Neil like, and he said this before, but he called Neil a smart cookie. But it's like, this is a very like speculative accusation. To think that Neil went through all the trouble to stir the pot, to then just to call people bigots. Try that article, someone a bigot is kind of wild. Like, literally, come on, man. Come on.
That they were homophobic
Homo.
or
Phobic.
transphobic. And if anyone criticized his game, he could say that they were a bigot, that they were homophobic.
That space is so funny to me. Homophobic. But like, he does realize there are people on the internet and out there that are actually bigots, right? Like, sure. I mean, again, you could argue that Neil like said this on an open platform that people can misconstrue that they're talking about him, which you could say that he could say he wasn't addressing them, like what DSP does all the time. But I'm more willing to believe Neil over DSP when he says that, because DSP is a terrible person who makes bad arguments. But there were people there were probably people who hated on a lot of characters for being gay in that game, or transphobic people. Like, I mean, there are people that are like that. But he thinks that it's some like malicious intent on Neil's end to call everyone that, when it's like, I mean, come on. Like there's a lot like again, to bring up everyone's favorite J.K. Rowling thing. Like, he doesn't understand, why does he think people don't like J.K. Rowling? Why do you think that a lot of people who believe in trans rights would be upset with what J.K. Rowling had to say about trans people? Because they view what she said as transphobic. But he thinks that these are like nefarious claims that these things don't happen anymore. Like, it still happens. But okay.
Or transphobic, and that they were a villain to be basically derided and publicly called out.
Well, I mean, should we like hug bigots, DSP? Like, let's take this to this extreme that DSP loves to do, right? So he's saying like, oh, Neil thinks that we should like deride and insult people who are homophobic or transphobic, people who are like hateful. Okay, DSP. So you think it's bad to say that these traits are bad? What kind of sentiment are you trying to send out, dude? Like, and this is the guy. Like, I just love he says this like as if it's like insane to be against hate, right? When this dude is like has cried about how people misconstrue his King of Hate moniker, thinking that I'm not a hateful person, dude. But then he's like, why should we hate hateful people? I don't like. Come on, man.
And that if you bought or played The Last of Us 2, you were sticking it to the online homophobic trolls.
By the way, again, Neil never said this. He said this in regards to voting for it, not buying the game. Like, and again, if he's addressing like bigots, then what if he's just talking up to the bigots? Like he's talking about those people, you know, people who are racist or sexist or whatever, right? Like he's not talking about people who are like not that, who don't like the game. But I mean, like, I do think that like when you're just saying stuff on Twitter, it'll be easily to be misconstrued, and it's like kind of like not a good message to put out. Like just focus on like the energy you want to put out there. You know what I'm saying?
And you were basically doing the right thing for society. I wish that this was all fabricated in
He
a
never
joke,
said this though.
except this all was publicly said by him online on his Twitter account and other places. He was outright saying this stuff. And so what happened is there was this feel-good online movement of people who.
By the way, I love that DSP wants the internet to be more positive, but then mocks Neil Druckmann for attempting to make a positive feel-good movement. Like this dude, like it's so weird. It's so weird how he talks. Like you don't need to think this hard to like be like, oh yeah, Neil. I don't like Neil. Like oh, I don't like Last of Us 2. He wants to sound like such an intellectual in disliking this, and he doesn't need to. Like he could just say, yeah, I don't like the game. I don't like the story, and this and that. But he always goes this extra about it, and he misconstrues what Neil said to make a point. But okay, whatever.
Championed The Last of Us 2. The games media, which has always been very, very leftist and liberal, fully pushed Last of Us 2 as the best game of the generation, despite the fact that they're really.
I don't think they said that it was the best game of the generation, but I also don't think it's that much of a stretch to believe that games media or people in general would have a favorable opinion on Last of Us 2 when they liked The Last of Us 1. Like, and I find it like kind of annoying too, because the games media has also praised a lot of games. Then we don't get this kind of talk when they praise these other games. Like when they push God of War Ragnarok, did DSP say they're pushing agendas by liking this game? Like, of course they're gonna like this game because it's a AAA Sony slop game. Like, it's not like a hard thing to imagine.
Really wasn't anything to back that up. Is the game good? Sure. It's got better gameplay mechanics, great world building, and design, set design.
But I just think the story is also like very subjective. Like he acts as if it's factual to say the story is bad, but there could be people who like the story. Like, you know, that's a very possible reality.
Great graphics, good audio design. But the pacing is absolutely atrocious. Killing off Joel at the beginning of the game is an awful idea. If anything, if that was going to happen, it should have happened at the end of the game.
Why at the end, though?
And
no,
the actual story is miserable
Whatever.
torture porn. That's not a good story whatsoever. It's just not. It's
miserable torture porn. But again, like if you want, he's like, I don't think he argues this in this video, but he argues in so many other videos about how video games are art. But if that's the case, then obviously you feeling bad or conflicted in a game is part of the experience. Like, you know, this is why I say, like, you know, games could be whatever. I mean, games is a spectrum. Like, you could have like a game that is artistic and all this other stuff. But you also have games that are just like, hey, look, just play. We're not here to think. We're here to have fun. Like games can be whatever like the developer wants them to be. Whatever is the intent. Last of Us 2 is clearly the intent was just, hey, we're gonna make a story that's gonna challenge you, and you're gonna have like fun gameplay because it's a game, but you're gonna engage with the story or whatever. That's all. That's all it is. That's the most basic like formula. But again, not everyone's gonna love the story. But there's also people who get this will love the story.
It's one of the most poorly written, executed stories in history that disrespects people who liked the first game. Okay? So, after a whole year of controversy, the game-winning Game of the Year, because again, leftist journalists voting for their political agenda rather than the quality of the game, we thought that
wasn't there like another like super woke game in the competition during that? But whatever, like who cares? Whatever, okay.
we were done with all of this until it was announced that The Last of Us would now be a TV show. And everyone collectively said either yay or oh, because here's the thing. If only The Last of Us 1 existed, and they announced that Last of Us was going to be a TV show, I think everyone would have been happy. Everyone would have been like, yeah, Last of Us is great. We can't wait.
But a lot of that video game adaptations suck anyway, so I don't think they would be that. I mean, like, just take for instance that Cyberpunk anime. If it was, it was made by Studio Trigger, who is a pretty favorable studio to go with. I mean, I think overall it has the most positive reaction from people. But if like a no-name studio were to animate it, or like Adi Shankar animated it, would people like praise that? No. You're like, oh god, oh man, whatever, okay.
But no.
Oh yeah, now I remember. I was trying to think of something. He said like, "Oh, The Last of Us 2 like this, like insults people, all blah blah blah." I think the Devil May Cry Netflix anime is more insulting. I watched that slop. That show was like made scientifically to piss me off. Like I've never seen something where the whole time I'm just like, this sucks. This sucks. Like. Where would I even begin in how bad that anime is? I can't even tell you. It was awful.
Knowing that after
like if you wasn't talking about like disrespecting a fan base, watch the Netflix DMC. Like I was kind of there like, okay, it's gonna have Lady in it, cool. Did not like what they did to that character at all. Like I mean, man, like. It only had one good episode, and it was a very stylized episode, and that was it. That's like the highest point of the show. It never went back to that, and it had another like aspect I did not like either in that episode, in that same episode. But it was still a better experience than the other episodes that were awful. But man, you want to talk about disrespect your fans? Watch that, and then get this. So they had Agni and Rudra, two two bosses from Devil May Cry 3 who have a cool design. Their heads are their swords and all this stuff, and it's like, okay, this is like a cool little thing. The anime, they're just like generic demons now. But they said the guy said in an interview or whatever the fuck that, oh, you're gonna see them like how they did in the game. Don't worry, you're gonna. So it's like, we're gonna get an origin story to how they. No, they should just have looked like that from the beginning. Why do we need an origin story for that? And it's like the same thing. People were like mentioning how Lady did not have a scar on her face. I'm just saying, like, we're gonna see the origin of the scar. We can't just see something and then be like, oh, okay, that happened. No, we have to see it happen, because that apparently is like how you make a good story, right? Right, guys? Man, that anime, like, I could go on another like mini rant about that, but whatever.
One, there was going to be a season 2 that likely was going to cover the plot of The Last of Us 2. Everyone got very, very nervous. Now, for those who did not see The Last of Us Season 1, a lot of it is shot-for-shot recreating of the game. And quite frankly and honestly, the shot-for-shot recreations are actually the best part of the series. Anytime that it tries to replicate the great writing and stuff that happened in the first game.
I don't know, like, I go
Master.
back and forth with these adaptations, like, because I get that some people like wanted to stick true to the source material. Like again, like with the Devil May Cry thing, I wasn't opposed to it being its own universe or whatever, but it should be good or interesting. There was nothing interesting in the Netflix Devil May Cry. There was like nothing there that I thought was like good, but I'm not against the stuff being different. Like Last of Us Season 1, the stuff that wasn't in the games, I thought was actually interesting. Like they showed like how the government and scientists react to the outbreak's beginning, and I thought that was interesting. I liked that aspect of it. I liked the episode of about Bill that wasn't like in the game at all. I thought that was kind of neat. Uh, and stuff like that. Like I'm not against these adaptations, like changing stuff for their own like creative purposes or whatever. I don't think those are inherently bad. I just think like if you're gonna do that and it's gonna suck, it's gonna like sing a little bit more than it being good or whatever. So I never really know how I genuinely feel about these kind of adaptations. For the most part, I go back and forth. I think at the end of the day, it just depends on the execution. Is what matters. Like if you get me on board, I'll go with it. But if you get me on board, you're gonna be left in the middle of the ocean.
Masterpiece level. But a lot of times, season 1 tried to veer from that and do things differently. For example, there's an entire episode featuring the backstory of a supporting character that was part of one chapter of the game of The Last of Us 1. But then this entire episode is about his backstory of falling in love with another man and having a homosexual romantic relationship.
He liked this episode,
and it really has nothing to do with the plot of it at all.
He liked it, but he also didn't like it because it didn't move the plot forward. Like you can't understand. Like maybe the point of it is to like feel for these characters, so then when you see that they die, you're like, oh shit, like, you feel something about why they died, instead of like, yeah, they died, and they loved each other, though, like, they probably just wanted to tell a little story that was also, like, and also, like, pacing-wise, they might just want to throw that in, so that you can have at least some, like, something that's a little bit more, like, upbeat, in a bleak scenario, correct? Like, again, a lot of these like post-apocalyptic zombie movies like have the attraction is the human aspect of it. Like I was rewatching 28 Days and 28 Years, no, 28 Days and 28 Weeks to get hyped for 28 Years Later that's coming out next month. I like 28 Days. I used to not like 28 Days. I fell asleep during that movie, did not like it. Then I watched it again and now I like it. I love it more than 28 Weeks. I used to like 28 Weeks, but now it's the other way around. And guess what 28 Days focused on? The human aspect of it. Like, a lot of the interest in drama and conflict was based on the human side of things. The zombies were kind of like the after effect of it. It was just like, yeah, this is like what's going on and this and that. Like, again, I said this earlier, it's like that dynamic is lost on him.
It's a huge departure from the plot of the show. And when the episode's over, you're like, well, that was a good story, but what does that have to do with anything? And then come to find out, absolutely nothing. It literally has nothing to do with anything. They just crammed it in.
But it gets, like, from what I remember, like, Joel didn't see Bill for a while. So he goes there, and then he learns that he committed suicide. Like, you don't think that might be a little more, like, important to show why Joel cared about this guy passing away or committing suicide? You don't think that Joel would want to know that? Or that why the viewer should know why Joel cares? Like, okay.
It in there to have this agenda that, oh, you should watch more stories with homosexuals in it because they're normal people. Fine. But what does that have to do with The Last of Us? Nothing. Okay? In fact, they had another whole episode, I should say, that was based on the prequel DLC of The Last of Us. Now, this is the backstory of Ellie, where she had a romantic teen relationship with a young girl when she was also young and underage. So it's basically like,
wait, I thought she was the ultimate survivor, dude.
Like a girl crush, right? Now, this is the backstory of Ellie, where she had a romantic teen relationship with a young girl when she was also young and underage. So it's basically like a girl crush,
A
right?
girl crush.
So this is the story of how her and
Right.
her friend basically got into trouble because her friend eventually gets bitten and becomes infected. And it's like this really tragic backstory of Ellie. And that's fine if it's told as like a DLC add-on. But again, it's not.
This is like, oh my god, dude. Like, I mean, he doesn't watch a lot of TV, so I guess I don't blame him, but man, just imagine this dude watching Better Call Saul. So, like, okay, I don't understand this. The beginning of each season, get this, it starts off in black and white, and then it shows, like, I guess it's supposed to be, Saul's other identity, when he's, like, Gene, and, like, but it doesn't make sense. Why are we seeing this? And then it goes back to when he's Jimmy. Like, it's so confusing. Like, what's the point? Like, this would make sense. And like maybe like we see him as Jimmy, then we go to like him as Saul for a while. Then the final season, the whole season is the Gene stuff, right? But it's like he just doesn't understand the concept of like breadcrumbing some stuff in that instance. But for this, it's like you're watching a TV show. Like, so were they just supposed to do another spin-off show of Ellie and about Ellie's backstory? Like, that's kind of like ridiculous in my opinion. Like, if you could make it in one season, then do it, right? Like, why do we need to franchise the fuck out of the TV show? Like, that would be kind of spreading too much too thin already when you already don't know if the show's gonna do well. And again, like, it's such a small story. Like, you could make an episode about it. Like, all these things, like, it makes sense, like, pacing wise for a TV show, because you're watching it like weekly, and like it serves as like a backstory. Like, some shows just do that, and he's sitting there like, this is like bad. I mean, you don't have to like these kind of episodes. I mean, this is like how some people don't like the episode of the Fly in Breaking Bad. I get why some people may not like that episode, but it's still like, you get why it exists. I'll put it that way. Like, I rewatched The Fly a few times on a few like Breaking Bad rewatches. I love that episode. Each time I watch it, I find a new appreciation for that episode. Oh, now I want to rewatch Breaking Bad again. Oh man.
Not integral to the core story of The Last of Us 1. It's fine, but it should have been something as like an aside or a special story. It didn't have to be a whole episode of the first season. So you could definitely see the changes that they were making. Now all of a
But
sudden Joel's wife.
these aren't like huge changes. These are these are things that happen in the game. I mean, the only thing that did happen in the game was the Bill stuff. Like, that was completely like invented for the show. But some with Ellie, like, that, why not include it there?
His wife and daughter were black when in the original show they were white. Well, what's the point of that?
What?
No, you could definitely see the changes that they were making. Now all of a sudden Joel's wife and daughter were black when in the original show they were white. Well, what's the point of that?
The original show. I mean, I think I know what you meant, but that was like kind of a funny way.
None. It serves no
None.
purpose. There was no reason to make that change, but they decided to do it for the show. And there's all little subtle changes like that throughout season 1 that you're kind of like, what are they getting at here? I don't really understand. Okay.
What are they getting at? Huh? I don't know, man.
Okay. But here's the thing. Still, season 1 was praised. Personally, I thought it was okay. Some parts I liked, some parts I disliked. But
I also love, like, we're talking about Last of Us 1, very hype, right? But every time someone's like, "Hey Phil, did you see season 2? What do you think of season 2, man?" You're like, "I'm not watching it, okay?" And now he's gonna talk about Last of Us 2. Like, you see how already this sounds really stupid? He says, he assures us, "I'm not watching it," but now he's gonna chime in on this. Okay, man, go off.
I thought
go
it was
off,
overall
King.
just all right. But of course, the mainstream media, the journalists, they loved it. Best show ever, 10 out of 10. Kiss its butt, especially because of its liberal themes. So now The Last of Us 2 has now been out for about a month.
All right, I'm on.
Okay?
Okay.
And much like the game, The Last of Us 2 starts off with a bait and switch, and then all of a sudden in episode 2, just like in Last of Us 2 the game, Joel is brutally murdered by Abby. Now, when this happened in the game, everyone rallied against it, said, what a bad choice. What an awful thing to do. Why on earth did they murder the most likable character that everyone enjoyed from the first game so
Okay.
early? And then as you continued to play the game and you saw the literal
We're
revenge torture porn story
dude, we are recapping what he already recapped. Oh my god.
line, you've realized why. Because it was an agenda. Neil Druckmann didn't like Joel as a character.
When did he say that? I mean, does he think that that when you kill a character off, that means you don't like the character? I mean, that's kind of like dumb. I mean, what if he was just like, well, like, yeah, I think with the story, like, because, I mean, technically, I mean, you could easily make the case in a post-apocalyptic setting, you don't choose when you die. Like, that's not something you can choose. And then, of course, when you kill someone else, that may trigger someone to go after you to kill you for killing them, you know? And you don't know when that's gonna happen. It could happen at the beginning of your day, the end of your day, next year, it could happen whenever. So, like, you know, sure, you'd say, well, the story writer can come up with whatever. I mean, you know, sure, but they chose for it to happen at the beginning of the game, man.
He wanted to push a different kind of agenda and story to try to get himself a
Because
name.
how can you get so? But like, remember, this is a story about revenge. How do you get the wheels moving without that? I mean, unless you start the story off with Abby, which they didn't. I guess that's kind of proving his point. But I think you're starting off with Abby. Like, you're killing Joel either like if you're doing it super chronological, it's gonna be like, you know, halfway through the game. Then you play the second half as Ellie, which, you know, whatever. But it's like that's the only way that could happen. But I think it's made it they did it in that specific way, literally so that you can hate her for killing Joel, and then like you're with Ellie. Then when you like switch to Abby, you're like, oh shit, that's oh fuck. Oh, that sucks. Damn. And then the feeling of like I don't know how I feel about this. Is that like that's kind of like engaging with what is being challenged. Like you're supposed to feel conflicted with what the game is showing you. Like that's why some people may even argue that the story would have been stronger if they had Ellie kill Abby and then Ellie can like regret that choice instead of letting her go. Then like presumably growing to like regret that choice. Which, you know, whatever. I just think the I I think like it kind of doubles down more on because like, I think she lost her pinky, so she can't play the guitar anymore. Which, you know, on one hand, it's like, you know, I get it. Like that could be an emotional connection with Joel that she has lost. You know, but they could have also done it both ways. I don't know. Like they could have done something a little bit different with the ending, in my opinion. But whatever, it is what it is.
In the liberal circles, and it worked in the game. Again,
Yes.
this whole campaign of either you like the game or you're a bigot was actually prominent on the internet.
No, nobody said if you dislike the game you're a bigot. It was really just addressing people who like were literally like shitting on like things that had nothing to do with like the quality of the game. But whatever, okay.
In 2020, people accused me of being a bigot because I criticized the plot and
Now, of course, we were gonna say who did that. He found some person, some random account like this. Like you look at this account and you kind of know it's a clown account almost. Like it is a very specific account. So like, you know, it would be kind of the kind of account I would just ignore and move on, or I would just like send a joke reply to, like, oh yeah, like I'm like, really, like I don't know, but it was like not, I did not take it seriously when this person called him a bigot, but he also, but I think he's just ignorant, as I said, but you know, this person was probably just like going with like the other like things, because again, you see a lot of like bad actors in the wild shitting on something. people who are actually critical on something may catch a stray here and there, but usually if that's the case and you explain, no, that's not my problem and it's this and that, that's like one thing. I mean, again, it's very situational and like, it's just, it's the internet. Welcome to the internet. I don't know what else to tell you.
And pacing of the game.
But it doesn't like help his case when he literally had like, because it does help his case when he had tweets that could very seemingly sound like someone that is ignorant or a bigot. Like he's using the same blanket like push agenda, and then like when you like pry him on that, he would never really like know what he was talking about. One person, oh, it was pushing progressive agendas. Then so it said, no, Phil, there's nothing progressive. It's whatever. Like, no, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the agenda of like high reviews. And it's like, why do you want to keep pushing the word agenda when you could just say you don't think the game is good and you think it just has a lot of overinflated scores? Like, I don't understand how he went from like this is like the dumbest culture war grifter. Imagine if this dude went full on doing game culture war grifting videos. This dude would be laughed at, like by either side of the aisle here, because it's like you're just saying words and there's no like logic to them. Like agenda, it's this agenda, it's that agenda, dude, it's this, it's that. Like these are like very like general terms, and it's just stuff that he wants people to say. Wow, Phil, you're so smart. He says such safeful things to get people on both sides. Are like, yeah, Phil, you're so smart. Oh,
So, sadly, for a drugster,
dude.
2025 world reality is not the same as 2020. In the last 5 years, things have dramatically changed. We have seen a cultural shift worldwide towards more conservative political beliefs and values. In the United States, our government has completely...
Again, I don't think that's fully true. When a lot of people who voted for Trump are people who are just simple workers that just wanted someone to like change or whatever. Like it could have, I mean, in one way, it could have been anyone. It was just that they weren't feeling that enthused by the other politician that was like, we're gonna keep doing what Joe Biden wants, when people were like not very popular with Joe Biden's platforms that he had going, or stuff that was associated with him or whatever. Like there's a lot going on. I don't think it's necessarily that people are like, yeah, conservatism or whatever, because like, I mean, that's not everyone that voted. I mean, sure, there are people that want more conservative values, but not everyone who voted for Trump believes that. Like, that's why I think, like, these voters, I don't think these are very committed voters for either party. They just really just vote who they think is gonna do what's in their best need, and then they're gonna find out one way or the other if that's how they feel for the next election. Like, these are things like it's a loaded topic, but it's just, at the end of the day, I don't think that like you can boil down what a voter or what a country of people want based on who won the election. I don't necessarily think that's accurate to say. Like, just because I vote for someone doesn't mean that I'm either 100% in belief with them. And some people may say, like, look, I don't believe in either candidate, I'm not voting. But again, like, as I said, for people who don't vote, I get it for people who have, like, a well-informed opinion as to why. Like, if you truly feel that neither candidate, like, represents what you want, or you don't like either candidate, or whatever your own reason, that's fine. I think out of laziness, aka DSP, I don't care for their political opinion. It's like, okay, you're not voting because you're lazy. That's all you're telling me. And why should I listen? Why should I listen to you, right? Like, I've seen people are like, yeah, I'm not voting for this person because like they not stand up for this belief that I think that is that needs to have, that they should stand for. Oh my god, whatever, right? Like, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
Completely flipped. And now we have Donald Trump back in power, along with his Republican, cabinet and everyone in Congress, and it's all controlled by Republicans. Because of that, we're now seeing a return to conservative ways of thought.
So what if in the midterms the Democrats get the majority again in the House? Like, what then? What then, Phil? Are we gonna see the return of liberals? But you know what he's gonna say? It's a pendulum. It's going this way, then this way, then that way, then this way.
Thought. Meaning, people don't want to hear that, oh, the writing of season one, the characters from season one don't matter because I got this story to tell you about Ellie and her love of another woman and how she's upset that Joel's dead and how she has to go on a crazy.
But how are these woke agendas that she has a relationship and then she wants to get revenge for Abby killing Joel? How is that a woke agenda? I guess conservatives are very famous for letting things go and not like holding grudges or saying that like or being retaliatory at all. They're not known for that at all. No way, man. Okay.
Crazy rant or rampage across the land, and oh, by the way, there's
what rampage? Like this is the other like nonsense thing. Like, does he think that like Ellie was just going through the country like killing just random people because she wanted to kill Abby? That wasn't what was going on. She was going like. I mean, this is like an insane retelling of like what went on and what he understood. But like, oh man, I kind of want to hear this again.
Another woman. That, oh, we're now seeing a return to conservative ways of thought. Meaning, people don't want to hear that, oh, the writing of season one, the characters from season one don't matter because I got this story.
But that's not the case though. I mean this is because people who like Last of Us 2 also like Last of Us 1, and they understand the importance of these characters, which also may be why they like Last of Us 2 a lot. Like, he just thinks that, like, in order for you to like this, you have to be liberal, and we need a liberal president to defend this game. This is, like, bananas.
Story to tell you about Ellie and her love of another woman and how she's upset that Joel's dead and how she has to go on a crazy rant or rampage across the land. And oh, by the way, there's all these other themes that we're going to keep pushing. Basically, people don't want it anymore. 5 years ago,
that was
popular. Today, it's not.
But
things have changed.
But Last of Us 2 was in development during Trump's first term, or released during Biden's term. I think it was like in between terms, in my opinion. Whatever. It's like what 2020, whatever. It was like basically we were entering Biden's presidency, and like I mean these things just happen anyway. Like again, this debate about like media and like agendas and character representation, this and that, it's more in regards to kind of the relationship that government has with corporations, but not to like what people want. Like, yeah, we have Trump as a second term, but like what if I don't care and I still want to make a story about a trans character or a gay character? Like, I don't need to like think about Trump, and I can try to assure like the person I'm trying to sell my story to that this is a pivotal point and people will like this, and you need to trust the vision. Like, this pushback on a lot of these things again are very like it's just fights that creatives have with like business people and CEOs, and this is stuff that's like a different discussion altogether. Like, it's kind of like meaningless to bring it up in this kind of way. You know what I'm saying?
Changed. If this show had released in 2020, probably it would have had mass appeal. But what's happened is.
But this is why it wouldn't. This is why it wouldn't. Because people still like Last of Us 2. They still like this game today. Except the people who don't like it, obviously. But people still dislike Last of Us 2 during the Biden administration. During that. So if we were all in progressive mind mode in Biden time, then why did DSP hate on it? Why did everyone hate on Last of Us 2? Like, how did that happen? But then when you see like people who like, and this is where he gets disingenuous. He's gonna. Well, I mean, I'm jumping a little bit ahead because he shows tweets, and again, and another he does actually show like Rotten Tomatoes, and he shows other reviews, but these are very like focused on critical to just people shitting on the show. But guess what? A lot of these same people also shat on the game. Like, this it doesn't really prove much than people just shit on things.
Is now The Last of Us Season 2 is being completely and utterly derided and destroyed by the internet. And views have dropped off dramatically. Let's take a look.
But do you,
So
but do
first
you know
off,
like the ecosystem of TV at this
Naughty
point?
Dog is attempting
Whatever.
to obviously advertise Last of
Wait,
Us
they're attempting to advertise the show? Unheard of. Wow. I can't believe this one.
Season 2 heavily every single week when a new episode comes out. Here's their post from 19 hours ago. Episode 5 of Season 2 is in 1 hour. We can't wait to watch Ellie and Dina's Seattle journey continue
Dina,
from
I thought it
last
was
week.
Lena.
Wow.
Wow.
Let's see what people have to say about this. I really like this Jesse guy. Hope he shows up again later in the show. We all know what's going to happen to Jesse, but I won't spoil for those who haven't played the game.
Okay.
Any plans for a remaster of the show? That's pretty funny. The show is.
Wait, hold on.
Won't spoil for those who haven't.
Let's actually go.
Let's see what people have to say about this.
The tweets. Let's see. Wait. We got.
I really like this Jesse guy. Hope he shows up again later in the show.
I didn't read that.
We all know what's going to happen to Jesse, but I won't spoil for those who haven't played the game.
Let's see. Why change Cassandra? Is this a reference to a Greek tragedy? Huh?
Any plans for a remaster of the show? That's pretty funny.
Yeah,
the show is cringe and woke.
You guys should just.
You should have done a limited series only of season 1.
Oh man, of course. This is okay. Why are you watching?
It's nothing like the game. I love the picture because of the game. God knows HBO changed a lot in season 2 and it sucks. The casting is bad except Joel and his brother.
I mean, I don't think the casting's that bad. Whatever.
You lost me after the first episode. Wish you had better casting. The game was perfect. This sucks, and they decided woke was more important than the show.
But they were calling the games woke. And then like, oh yeah, this is more woke. How is the show more woke? Okay, whatever.
Only season 2. It's already pulled a Game of Thrones and killed itself. Sad to see you're actually proud of the production as the developer.
I thought they worked on the show as well, so of course they can be proud of it. Whatever. Okay. Wait, what was that other tweet? Excited for it. Getting through part 2 playthrough and looking to see how it's compared. Fantastic games. We can't read that. That's too positive. We got woo.
Why did you have such a good story and let someone random take it and twist it? I'm not a producer, but I can bet any money if they followed the story to the T, just like the game, it would have one of the best shows in a long time, but no why.
But what did they change? Like, I don't know. Whatever.
No thanks. Episode 4 ruined the series for me. We're not watching. Could they both be a dad? Which is the new meme. Apparently in season 4.
Oh my god. Like, dude. These two characters, like, Dina, was showing Ellie, look, I'm pregnant. And then it's like, oh, I'm gonna be a dad. And there's like, oh yes, and they're happy because they're gonna have a baby. Like, okay, I don't know why DSP is like upset about this. Maybe he just doesn't get the joke.
Both girls say something like they want to be a dad.
No, they said I'm going to be a dad because the other one's pregnant. Like, how is this like bad? Like, why is he saying this like this?
Wow, that sounds like something smart to say in 2025, doesn't it?
What? What does that have to do with anything? Yeah, that sounds like something you should say in 2025. Like, what a weird statement. I don't want to like kind of like speculate further than how weird that sounds and like kind of like just listen what that would imply. Come on, man.
This is so prominent on the internet,
Okay,
this frame. I don't
I
know if this is from episode 4, but
I saw this scene. This is why I wanted to watch it because uh I mean obviously it's meme to hell, but this is gonna blow your guys' minds. Guys, this scene was taken in a high like action scene. So someone had to have paused it during this and get this. Not every scene is gonna be a flattering image. And you'd think DSP would know that since I don't know, there's like 1,000 screen caps of DSP where he looks fucking stupid. And he's looking at this and like, look at this scene. But this is like, the context makes sense for why she looks like this and what's going on. Like, it's kind of unfair to a degree to be like, look at this scene. It's like, yeah, I mean, she's in a train full of zombies or like cordyceps monsters, whatever the fuck you want to call them. I'm just gonna call them zombies. Fuck it. Full of zombies breaking in, and they're trying to like make it out. So of course she's like panicking. She's firing like just off the cuff, trying to like, get distance to get out. Like you're not gonna be like trying to look like a badass or get like precision aiming at this point when you're highly trying to move fast and trying to get out when you're being swarmed by a lot of zombies.
but just showing how hilarious this looks. This is Ellie in the show. This is supposed to be your believable psycho killer. The
Again, saying that Ellie's a psycho killer is it's kind of wild. For starters. Secondly, dude, like she's shooting zombies. She's not trying to be a badass in this scene. And I like her like, oh, this is your psycho killer. Dude, she's shooting zombies. She's not shooting like smugglers. She's not shooting random people. And she doesn't shoot random people. She shoots people that are like smugglers. It's like mostly in self-defense. And he's like, look, she's a psycho killer. Like she isn't. Like I don't know why DSP is like keeps doubling down on like Ellie is a psychopath when she isn't. Like a lot of the stuff that she did is either out of revenge, which is like okay, you understand why she wants to kill Abby, but it's like that's it. She's not like, oh, I'm gonna go crazy or whatever. And this is like not a scene of that. It's just there's zombies coming in. Like this really it just shows he looks at an image and just like comes up with nonsense to justify.
a little girl who is somehow one-handing a gun. Figure this one out.
It's a pistol, and also like she's not when she was shooting it, she wasn't like keeping it perfectly straight like a fucking robot. She was like bang bang and still like moving it around after each shot. Like this is like he's judging this off of one frame, one image. I watched the episode and it's like she was like doing this, bang bang bang. She was like doing this and moving around because like shit's going crazy there. There's all these zombies in the fucking train. All this stuff's going on. She's not gonna be like, okay. She has no time for that. Come on now, dog.
Now, how exactly she's doing that, because that's not even fucking possible. If in real life she was firing a real gun, the kick would probably...
Like, you can just look at the image. Look at the image. Look how blurry it is. Like, and people are like, look at it, like, oh, look how bad the show is. Look at this. Dude, it's an unflattering image you got in motion. The gun is fucking blurry, so it already implies there's motion happening. Like what else do you want? It like doesn't really like take a scientist to figure this out.
reel her arm back and break it, right?
And then this like also thing where it says like, oh, it's gonna like reel her arm and break it. Like you realize that she also like trained using a gun, right? Like, get it? Like, if they put her on patrol, presumably she knows how to use it. Like, this is like really stupid. And it's pedantic. It's just shitting on it because he sees a bandwagon that he wants to join in on. And this is the thing. This is why he's doubling down on the pendulum swinging. We have Trump and this that because he feels more safe in like shitting on this stuff when it's perceived woke. If something's perceived woke and there's enough people shitting on it in the right way, South by Midnight is the only exception because in my opinion, I think he's still somewhat afraid to shit on that for being woke because obviously it has a black cast. Meanwhile, Last of Us features a white person, so it's not as racially there's no racial tension. And whatever, right? And he can talk his way out of everything. He has a silver tongue, as they say, Doob.
Her face, look at her face.
Look at her face, man. Yeah, dude. Like, let's see. I did find I have like DSP pictures. Yeah, man. Look at his face. Look at his face, dude. Wow. I mean, I have other dumber pictures of him, but you've seen them all. You've literally seen the dumb faces he makes. If anything, like, at least with this, it makes more sense why she looks like that. Because first off, zombies are there. Secondly, she's, like, running for her life, shooting sporadically, blah, blah, blah. DSP makes faces that look worse than that, and he's sitting in a chair. Think about that. Who's calling me? Alright, hold up. All right. I took care of it. Don't worry. Okay, let's get back into this nonsense.
And by the way, it's a TV show. They easily could have picked the perfect shots, the perfect scenes. This is what.
But this isn't grabbed by the fucking studios, dude. The screen cap is posted by a random. And you don't think it's like disingenuous to, I don't know, get a random shot that looks like this and then say, look at the show, guys? I mean, it's literally a shot that's taken during a action scene. Like, not every scene is gonna be like a fucking like highly photographed piece of art. Like, come on.
This is what they chose to go with in the show. Also, hilariously, one thing that everyone has pointed out about season 2. In season 1, Ellie was supposed to be a younger girl. In season 2, she's supposed to be grown up. Years later, she's bigger, right? She's a young adult. In the game, that's reflected. In the show, she's exactly the same. Because this actress, Bella Ramsey, apparently has a condition where basically her body isn't really growing.
But what if they just thought that she did such a good performance they wanted to keep the consistency? Like, I mean, I get the criticism that people have about Bella Ramsey and all this. Like, I get that. I mean, I've been watching this and I don't think it's that bad. Like, I wasn't that taken out of Last of Us season 2 with her. But I mean, as I said, I get why people are like, I can't take some of the scenes seriously with this actress or whatever. Like, I get it. I didn't have that much of a problem, but I also don't think that there's any other way that they could have worked around it without just recasting her. And I also think, like, they probably just want her just to play the role. They probably, well, the acting is so good that people may be able to overlook it, right?
And so she still has the body of a child. So here we are in an arc where she's supposed to be a young adult / late teens, and she's supposed to be believably going around killing people, and she looks like a 5-year-old. So it's not believable.
I wouldn't say she looks that
awful.
young. That's
so the casting
really
was basically atrocious.
Like, exaggerated.
To actually pick her for this role made no sense. They should have researched her and realized she wasn't going to age like Ellie was supposed to age.
Okay, so I mean,
Okay?
okay,
So
whatever.
anyway, not only is she not believable as a protagonist mass killer, but people are pretty upset.
Ellie is not a mass killer though. Like, I don't know where he got this. Where did they say, "Oh, she's a psycho killer"? She's a mass killer. She isn't. The only time she has kills out of self defense. Like, I mean, dude, Joel is more of a mass. Like, why did it say that Joel's a mass killer? Right? Whatever.
Saying that the show has become even more woke than the game. And of course, again, if this were 2020, no one would be saying anything. But it's 2025. People don't want woke anymore. You're 5 years too late for this to work, and people are upset. We could just keep reading. The show fucking sucks. Woke trash. Bring back Hennig because Neil sucks. For those who don't know, even though she didn't get
Oh,
credit, supposedly Hennig is the co-writer of Last of Us 1, and everyone wants her back because she apparently wrote the best parts.
okay.
The show sucks dick now. You fucking ruined everything. No one is seeing this crap woke series anymore. You fucked it big time. Woke crap.
So what are they supposed to do? Like all these people saying you ruined it. What were they supposed to do? Just not follow the game and make a new story, and then people then complain. See, you didn't follow the games, dude. This is stupid. I don't know. Whatever.
I can't wait either for the reviews. The characters are the only reason I didn't watch the TV show. Instead, I'm playing the game again.
Okay.
So anyway, oh look, sell out to HBO. This is the result you get. The show is mid. I
What?
enjoyed both games. Ellie always appears helpless.
I love her shitting on HBO, and they have other great shows like Righteous Gemstones, The Sopranos, The Rehearsal. Uh, they got some bangers, dude.
When in the second game, she can hold her ground. This feels more like a love drama story than a story driven by anger and revenge. So,
I mean, do you want Ellie every episode to be like, fucking Abby, this fucking bitch, I'm gonna fucking kill her, I'm gonna fucking kill her? Like, I don't think that would be very fun to see her just see be miserable the whole time. I don't know. Whatever. Okay.
if you can believe it, it got even worse. So, the original plot is torture porn. Now it's a love story? Like, what?
This dude complained about how this feels so miserable, and now the show is like, okay, we're gonna like have some like later moments. Wow, they're doing later moments. What an idiot! What stupid bullshit. So what are they supposed to do then? Oh man. But again, I think the only miserable parts of Last of Us 2 are like the parts that are like you're fighting Ellie or you're fighting Abby, like those kind of scenes. Everything in between has always been like lighthearted stuff. Like you play fucking guitars in like in one of the open world segments or whatever. Like okay.
What?
What?
So, anyway,
Yeah, but I love that it's like, and then they say like they have a love story. There is a love story in the game too. Remember the whole thing with Owen and Abby? That's part of a love drama story. That's there. Uh, so with like Ellie and Dana is also kind of like uh of a love story. I don't know how different it is in the show though. I don't know, but whatever. Didn't really pay attention.
if you couldn't believe the dichotomy, here's The Last of Us 2 on Rotten Tomatoes, season 2, that is.
Everyone's
Okay?
favorite website.
First
Marvel
thing they
loves
show
Rotten
is
Tomatoes.
Joel, who's not even in season 2 for more than an episode.
Yeah, this is a trailer though. But like it's kind of like silly though because yeah, he dies at the beginning, but it's Pedro Pascal. Guess who was like a top billing actor? Pedro Pascal. Of course they're going to like put him on the marketing. I mean, who like what are they going to what are they going to do?
So why they actually have him here is absolutely fucking hilarious.
It's a trailer.
Okay?
There's so many ads with him in it
And as
too.
you scroll down, you're going to see critics, again, liberal leftist
But
critics.
I thought when we have Trump, the critics would also be with Trump, right? I thought we all want. I guess the critics are a breed of their own, right? And then I like that we're just taking like user reviews at face value. I mean, like I feel with user reviews, you always have to read them and know like whatever and get a feel for them, because you're also gonna get a lot of like bad actors in the review pile that will just review bomb. Like it's just. Eh.
Gave the series season 2 a 95%. However,
Yeah, how dare they enjoy
people
something
who
I
are
don't
actively
enjoy?
watching the show in season 2 and giving their own reviews have review bombed the show and said it is 41%.
But what if I
Just
review
look at
bomb
the
it positively?
dichotomy. Here's an official critic, right? Often middle seasons can feel like a way station, an impatient stopover until the meat of the work in the final act, but The Last of Us gifts the audience with many sublime moments that make it more than worthwhile in the meantime. For the record, when this critic wrote this, season 3 hadn't been greenlit yet.
Okay.
The show's producers seem to delight in
But
presenting
like,
situations.
I don't think it would be that much of a stretch to assume there would be a third season. Like I don't know, like, but it's often these middle seasons can feel like a way station. Needed to work. I mean, whatever. I mean, I almost thought that the person was talking about like the season as in like TV, like this and that. But whatever.
Situations which look like one thing, only to shift the dynamic as circumstances change and new facts emerge, like turning a crystal in a shaft of light.
What are their scores? Like, they're not looking at their score. Oh no,
The series
these
continues to strike an
tomato
incredible
scores.
balance between action, psychological complexity, and human emotion. It honors the legacy of the video games while adding even greater nuance to the medium of television.
Uh-oh, somebody has a different opinion than DSP. Yeah, what a fucking idiot. They think that this game has nuance. No, stupid. I know what nuance is, and it's not that, man.
Now let's read
Like,
audience reviews.
I love that this dude is so open to other people's opinions, and then he mocks the person who actually had something nice to say. Like, dude, like, people can find stuff that they like.
So bad.
Whatever.
Changes are all for the worse. It's nowhere near as brutal as the game. Disappointing.
Wow, like, I love that the other reviews were like, they kind of went a little bit more into why they liked it. This didn't look like the game. Bad. Agenda disenfranchise. Oh my god, this is a different language.
Agenda disfraza the Siri Basada.
Okay. Yeah, dude, different languages.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second, guys. Here we go. Go.
Season 2 feels lazy and rushed.
One second, we
I
got.
don't know if it feels rushed. Like, I mean, I think it's going a little too slow. It feels rushed, but yet it's going a little too slow for me. But whatever, it's fine.
Okay, done.
But I can't believe people
Easy
don't
peasy.
like this season.
Okay.
Wow, shocker!
So,
I know.
Pretty interesting difference between actual viewers reviewing it and the liberal media. No.
No.
So continuing on, all you got to do is simply search on Google, and you're going to see everyone talking about this.
But like, I mean,
Liberal media, no. So,
let's hear this
pretty
again.
interesting difference between actual viewers reviewing it and the liberal media, no.
But how are the top critics liberal media? Like, who are these people? Like, Bangkok Post? Salon.com. Like, I mean, this is liberal media? I mean, these are, whatever, okay.
No.
No.
So continuing on, all you got to do is simply search on Google, and you're going to see everyone talking about this. Last of Us loses viewers after losing the major character.
I love that we're just looking at headlines of a Reddit forum. Now, remember, DSP hates Reddit. He always says, if I go to Reddit, it's like a cesspool. It's terrible. Toxic land. Whatever the fuck. And now he's like, yeah, look what Red said. Because it validates my point of view.
Character. It tanks. The ratings have collapsed. It's getting review bombed.
The ratings, like, what I always think ratings have tanked. Okay, what are these ratings? And what's the measurement? And what measurement does HBO care about more? You realize that, like, they may not care about the ratings going down because maybe people are not watching live. Maybe they're watching, like, when they can, when it's on their streaming app. Like, I also kind of wonder the landscape of how TV is now, especially with all these streaming services. Like, you know, at some point, I think like this, that could be it. And if it goes down, I mean, again, it's not a famous season to adapt, sure, but I mean, like, because people watch season one. I mean, the other thing is to also remember, people are always going to tune in for the first season of something, and then like the following seasons will either retain some of that or none of them, and they'll just like, or whatever. So these could just be the actual genuine people who are watching. And again, that may not be a failure. It may be a failure like for other people, but again, you know, HBO may not be looking at the same metrics for this show because it's like, well, this is like, you know, whatever.
People are quitting the show. And to give some concrete numbers to this, because there's several different.
Oh my god! Wait, what?
Thanks. The
Can I give them Christian Burn?
ratings have collapsed. It's getting reviewed.
Are viewers really quitting Last of Us? The Last of Us season, like, man, I love we're just looking at these like fucking articles. We're not even really reading what it's about. Are viewers really quitting The Last of Us? Is asking a question.
Review bombed.
Last of Us loses viewers following major character. Okay, I mean, obviously, going to talk about that about Pedro Pascal. Like,
people are quitting the show.
I mean, I hope DSP knows that it's viewers quitting, not like staff quitting.
And to give some concrete numbers to this, because there's several different articles that have been written, but the concrete numbers are as follows. Season 1 of The Last of Us or The Last of Us, I should just say, had over 1 million viewers per episode. Every single episode had over 1 million viewers, and people were saying it was breaking records of viewership and all of that. Okay? Season 2, the premiere pulled in 938,000. So right there, basically, it's less than every episode of season 1 to begin with. All right?
Okay.
Episode 2 fell to only 643,000 viewers. The show has lost more than half of its viewership.
And then it gained. It gained. Partial recovery with 768,000 viewers, but still trailed the premiere by over 170,000. The numbers point to a clear reaction. Viewers are blindsided and some checked out. Yeah, I mean, that's to be expected. But the people, I mean, again, I don't really put much stake in like viewers or sales. I mean, it's the same thing with like companies like, yeah, I expect Resident Evil 6 to make 10 billion gajillion copies sold. What, only 2 million sold? Failure. It's like, I mean, okay. I mean, people are already not like a fan of like Resident Evil being like an action game at that point, so of course people are just gonna like not buy it. But I don't really take much credence for this because, you know, people who are checking out, they checked out for their own reasons, and that could be for whatever reason. They may not be able to like watch it. They may not want to continue their sub anymore. They may want to save money. Whatever. But whatever.
In season 2, that's pretty bad. Normally, all right, when you have a show that's a hit, the second season will increase in viewership.
How do you know that? But how do you know that? Like that, I don't think that's the case as much anymore. Like, I mean, Vinyl, which was a show that I liked Vinyl. It was on HBO for a while. It was a great show. It didn't do well, but Vinyl was a show done by the people who did Boardwalk Empire. Now, of course, this had also the funny story of HBO saying, "Yeah, we're not gonna care about ratings. We don't care about that because we want people to to have a body of work or whatever the fuck they said." And then this didn't do so well. Okay, we're canceling this. It's bullshit. Vinyl was good. Vinyl was good. Yeah, I liked it. Yeah, some people didn't like it because get this, they're like, "Oh, the main character does cocaine." Yeah, it's set in the fucking 70s or 80s. Like, I don't know what else to tell you, but it's like, it's kind of silly. And now that I think about this, that people are talking about that when we had Breaking Bad, a character that was making meth. The Sopranos was a hit, and now was a crime boss. But Vinyl, okay, guys, this person's doing cocaine. That's a little much now. we draw the line at cocaine. I get it. You haven't checked it out, check it out. It's probably still on HBO, hopefully, unless Zaslav took it off.
It'll trail off. Because the thing is, when you have a show that's a new show, it has to find its footing. And once it finds its footing and then word of mouth spreads, typically season 2 will be bigger than season 1. That's what happened with Game of Thrones. That's what happened with shows like Dexter. Anything, the first season is kind of slower, and then boom, season 2, higher production values, bigger budgets, and more viewership. With Last of Us 2, it's actually halved. Half as many.
I mean, it's like
That's
1
pretty
million.
bad.
It went from 1 million to
right?
Whatever. I mean,
Episode 3 did gain back some viewers, but not a lot. Episode 4, they don't know yet. They don't actually have the numbers, I guess, or they're about to get them. And episode 5 just aired yesterday, I think. So no one knows yet either. But it ain't good. Essentially, if you're,
Rotten Tomatoes also reflected a shift in sentiment. The audience score dropped. For gamers, Joel's removal was a no narrative turn, but for television audience, especially those new to the franchise, it felt abrupt. The characters struggling, but this is the other thing that could happen with a TV show is that these people may also come around and actually appreciate it. Because there are times. I mean, I said about The Fly, 28 Days Later, and all this stuff. You may not appreciate these plot twists in the moment. But you may go back and be like, "Oh, actually, this was actually good." I mean, I think you start seeing that with The Sopranos. A lot of people did not like the finale. DSP still in his little camp of the ending was bad, but I think more and more people have started to come around and actually like the ending more than they did when it aired because it was a cool ending. It was a good ending. Yeah. Stay losing failure. He's the only one in my world that still hates the ending. He's the only one that never left. He never left that era of people hating on the ending.
Looking at it from a perspective of, a show that's getting attention, when half the audience says your show sucks, they're giving it 40-something% satisfaction rating on Rotten Tomatoes, and when you've lost half of the show's viewership in season 2.
Honestly, how much of the Rotten Tomatoes score is from people who never played the game or people who claimed they didn't play the game that said it sucked, right? I mean, this is why, I think, going off user reviews is kind of you have to read and know which one, and I wouldn't base, an aggregate score either. You know what I'm saying? It's like going to a game that had an infamous bug or whatever that got review bombed because they wanted that to repair. I'm like, oh, well, then I guess the game sucks, and then you'll never go back and never, experience it because it got review bombed. That could have been fixed, right?
2. That's terrible. And in addition to that, HBO idiotically auto-approved season 3 right after episode 1 dropped. So they already have greenlit the budget and everything. They're already making season 3 despite the fact that season 2 is tanking miserably. So they fucked up. They jumped the gun. It could be worse.
It could be fucking Westworld. I mean, Westworld, I know a lot of people do not the show did fall off after season 2. Season 2 was okay. I didn't think it was amazing, but I thought it was good. Season 3 was not good. I did not like season 3 at all. 4 kind of got me back. I was like, okay, I want to see where this is gonna go, and this is what drives me crazy. They because the show was already written to be 5 seasons. Like they were like, yeah, it's gonna end on the 5th season, and then they just cancel. Like, okay, guys, don't worry, we'll pay them for season 5, but we will not do it. And I'm just like, why don't you just do it? Like, there's no plans for any more. Like, it was written to be 5 seasons long, and you're spending the money as if you're doing it anyway. Like, it just doesn't make sense. And I'm still mad because I was like, it got me back. I was like, okay, I want to see where this is gonna go. Okay, yeah, now we're never gonna see where it's gonna end. And I was like, oh, god damn it, come on. Come on. Like, if they cancel season 3, I'd be like, okay, I get it. That season sucked ass. But season 4, I mean, season 4 wasn't great either, but I got interested. I was interested in where it was going for season 5. Then it's like, oh yeah, it's canceled. So it could have been that situation.
Approved a 3rd season with it before actually seeing what the real reaction would be to season 2. So, in regards to this show, it's not like those of us who played Last of Us 2 didn't see the writing on the wall and warn everyone, right? Was I not saying when Last of Us, season 1 came out, listen,
dude.
This is good for now, but I guarantee you that when it's time for season 2, these things will happen. And not only that, but now we're out of the woke era. The woke era ended. We're now going back to the other direction. In an extreme manner, by the way. It's not even like, it's a little bit to that way.
But this doesn't make any sense, though. These are still people who liked it. I mean, he just read reviews that said they liked it. Whatever.
Extreme to the right now. So,
like, I don't think people are basing what they want in a show based on the government. Like, this is like, again, this irrelevant stuff to bring up.
Completely blowing up in their faces. And you want to know the funniest part about all of it? Neil Druckmann is silent. Neil Druckmann, who was so verbose and so
okay, we're gonna fact check this. So let's we gotta go full Greek mode for a minute. I don't know what Twitter's gonna show me. You never know. You never know with Twitter. They could show you some crazy shit, dude. Oh, let's see. All right. Let's take a look at his Twitter. Let's see. Last of Us and the power of video games. I couldn't remember when I had been so affected by work of art. Okay, this was April 12th. Okay, he hyped up the complete edition. I mean, I'm just gonna say maybe he's working on a video game like the Heretic Prophet. But let's see. Did he make any recent replies? No. He hyped up more Last of Us officially coming your way. Okay, but this guy has a life as well. You know that, right, dude? But okay. Neil has to live on Twitter like Phil does, right?
And so, you're a big.
What if, guys? What if? Oh man! I just realized the fucking irony, right? He's mocking Neil for like having to stay silent because of like of how he acted on Twitter and this and that. This is coming from the dude who's like, yeah, since people are being mean to me, I decide I'm gonna use Twitter for business reasons. These people, remember when you used to make all these like posts and tweets about like about random shit all the time, and now suddenly, but now you dialed it back to only talk about when you're live and when you're streaming and what you're pushing, right?
Biggie, if you don't like Last of Us 2 the game, is not saying anything about the decline of Last of Us 2 the show.
Because maybe he just doesn't want to deal with it. Like, he doesn't want a bunch of baby men showing up in his replies, shitting on him. Ever think of that? But, like, I like how he's saying this when, like, again, anyone who's been, like, people who are watching him say the same shit about you know, so DSP doesn't make any tweets anymore. You notice that all his tweets are just, I'm live, I ate food, this is my gaming schedule, and he doesn't really say anything else. Yeah, because DSP got bullied. He got bullied into submission because like there was like a year of people just clowning on him to the point he just turned off replies. Then he turned them back on after he got a confidence in Kino Casino, but he still just makes posts that are just, hi guys, I'm live. Okay guys, I'm live. Guys, these are the videos. Hope to see you tomorrow. Here is the schedule. Today is my day off. Like, that is it. Like, there's nothing else.
Show, despite the fact that he's primarily responsible for it. I think he realizes people don't put up with your bullshit anymore. No one's gonna be, accepting
that's
to be
it.
called.
Okay, so the reason why DSP doesn't like, DSP just doesn't understand. Nobody wants to put up with his bullshit anymore.
Bigot because they don't like your show. Your show is fucking terrible, and your game was too. Your game had great moments that were good and good things to it, good aspects, but they were fully overshadowed by your assholery and your liberal bullshit. So because of that, now, and this honestly, guys, is actually why I'm fucking fed up. You want to know why I'm really fed up by Neil?
Guys, he's now fed up by Neil Druckmann. Get ready. He's gonna tell us what grinds his gears.
Neil Druckmann. The Last of Us Part 2, the game, had some of the best accessibility features of any video.
And it's this. Like, sure, like, more games should have more accessibility for people. I do think that that is a worthwhile endeavor for more people to play a game. But it also runs into the problem of, like, budget. Now, of course, I think that, like, the budget can, like, be different for games, and maybe they could be using the budget for things that they don't need to spend money on, like, whatever. But I think, like, spending the money for that goes into accessibility is fine. I mean, and if people are gonna say, well, game prices are gonna go up, they're going up anyway. I really don't know how to say it other than the game companies would always want to raise their prices regardless. I mean, the tariffs are one thing, and that could increase the prices. But let's say that Trump didn't do these tariffs at all, they would still raise their prices. Like, I don't think that it's a secret that they love that. They love to do it. I mean, whatever. So I don't think that the game price going up is a big deal. Or like, oh, if we do this, then they're gonna go up regardless. They go up no matter what. They've been going up anyway. I remember when games were $50 and now they're $60. Now they're $70. Whatever.
Video game ever made. The game had a revolutionary sonar system. And the sonar system allowed blind people to play the game.
But this is like an insane.
And this level of accessibility since then has never been copied, emulated, or reached. It seems like most major game developers kind of gave up, and they all have these.
But there are still games that have accessibility options. Like, I don't know where this they gave up came from. Like, every Ubisoft game, they start off like announcing some accessibility feature that you could turn on or whatever. Doom the Dark Ages has that. Doom the Dark Ages has even more like customization sliders. Like, there's all this that's still going on. Like, sure, maybe it's not to the extent of Last of Us, but how do you know like how these companies are operating to begin with? What if they don't want to pay for a consultation company to help them out, and they're trying to do it themselves? They're doing like piece by piece or whatever. Like, there is challenges in a lot of these attempts. To say that it's not going anywhere because The Last of Us 2 is kind of insane. It's kind of an insane claim to make.
These standard checkboxes for basic accessibility, and then that's it. And I don't understand why no one talks about this, because he force-fed the whole liberal agenda bullshit
But
down everyone's.
why is it Neil's responsibility for that? That seems more of an industry problem and less a Neil Druckmann problem. Like, if the whole industry is able to be shattered by Neil Druckmann, then I think that's a problem with the industry then, if it's that frail. Like, it just seems this accessibility discussion, like, and you know, this is disingenuous coming from him, because if he cared so much, right, why didn't he see this before? Why did he have to wait until he's shitting on Neil Druckmann to bring this up? This seems like a very random thing to bring up. That's not even, like, his responsibility. You know, are we gonna start blaming Neil Druckmann for why we can't use the word last anymore? Oh, guys, I nobody's talking about cordyceps anymore. Gotta be because of Neil Druckmann, dude. Now no one's gonna look up the actual cordyceps fungus and look at it. I don't know.
Everyone's throat, because he said if you don't like Last of Us 2, you're a bigot. It seems like accessibility has become an afterthought.
What's the proof?
With Last of Us 2...
What is the connection? How is that connected to that? This is like, where's the correlation? Because Neil said you're a bigot for being, for not liking this. That must mean accessibility is now on the wayside. But what about, like, Xbox? Microsoft announced like a accessibility controller years ago, back in the Xbox One era. DSP said nothing about that. Then, like, that went away. Nobody's talking about that controller anymore. Then, like, there's all this other stuff that's going on with that. Like, to simplify it down to Neil Druckmann, it's kind of like lunacy. Like, it's an unhinged take to have.
Oh, it's game of the year and all that. Now every AAA game developer would be like, we need to have what Last of Us 2 has. We need to have that.
But it got a word for, there's an accessibility category in the Game Awards. Like, you don't think that's gonna, like, encourage people to try more? Okay, whatever. But again, nobody cares about the Game Awards, obviously. So what are they supposed to do? Like, this is, like, really lame. And again, like, if these studios are basing having accessibility in their games on Last of Us 2, like, that's kind of like dumb. Because, like, like, oh my god, he's just trying to find new ways to shit on Neil Druckmann. I mean, come on.
Accessibility suite for all these different people who have different disabilities, so now everyone can play video games at the same level and everyone can enjoy them for what they're meant to be, works of art. Instead, it seems like because of what happened with Last of Us 2, most AAA developers are like, no thanks. We don't even want to touch that beehive, that hornet's nest. Instead, we'll just do the basic and just move on. We don't give a shit. And that is insanely sad. That is a disservice. That beehive. Instead, it seems like because of what happened with Last of Us 2, most AAA developers are like, no thanks.
I mean, oh man, like, this would be, like, he's treating this as if, like, this argument I could see making sense, right? If it was like, oh, no other game, now games are not going to want to feature a trans character or a gay character because you don't want to touch the beehive of The Last of Us because they're going to call our game woke and this and that. Like that's what this argument would make sense with. Because that's actually a little bit more, like, grounded a little bit. Like, that's at least a little bit more, like, okay. Like, that I can understand. Because clearly a lot of people complained and talked about there being a trans character, there being this or that in the game. Nobody complained and bitched about accessibility features. So that makes so this argument for accessibility features seems completely, like, forced. It really is like he doesn't want to talk about the issue with the representation in media, but wants to talk about the accessibility with that argument, which is like, I mean, okay, why? Because, like, nobody complained about, like, nobody, like, when a game has accessibility features, I don't see a lot of people like, guys, this game is woke, it has accessibility features. Like, the only time I see that ever happen is only when DSP talks about Super Blind Man. And that's kind of it.
We don't even want to touch that beehive, that hornet's nest. Instead, we'll just do the basic and just move on. We don't give a shit. And that is insanely sad. That is a disservice to people who need those accessibility features and don't get them now. Because he had to make it all about his own personal
But that
agendas
makes
and
no
horseshit, him
sense.
getting over as some kind of a leftist person.
But that makes no sense. And also, like, why are you blaming Neil? Like, because again, this dude says, like, oh, we should let people make what they want to make. So now he's saying that Neil should have, like, not told the story he wanted to tell and just made a safe game to launder accessibility features. I mean, that's kind of insane. Like, you shouldn't need to have a game, like, launder accessibility. Like, that, it should be an easy case to make to have. Anyway, and again, like, Last of Us 2 sold pretty well. It got accommodations for this, and accessibility has nothing to do with the woke agenda. But to make this connection is kind of insane.
Pariah, right? I'm going to push this liberal agenda to the masses. Everyone in gaming will love liberal. Well, guess what? No one does now. Every single game that has it is flopping and failing. Literally in a row. They're all failing miserably.
Oh my
You got
God.
Dragon Age Veilguard with its fucking pulling a bar of bullshit.
Dude, like,
you got Assassin's Creed Shadows with
this is
a
just confirmation bias. I mean, these games were destined to fail, and then of course it's like, it just so happens it has, like, woke stuff in it. What about the games that are woke that are succeeding? Whatever, okay.
black samurai protagonist. We can keep going. But the more that you push the liberal agenda, the more you're failing in 2025.
Sure.
So now, sadly, it seems like accessibility has been associated with woke. And I don't think that's fair.
When did that happen? When did accessibility get associated with woke? I love that, like, he's okay with, like, the LGBT and all these other groups being associated with woke, and then them being damned to fail, I guess. But accessibility, that's not woke. I mean, like, I don't know, like, this is, like, kind of like a very loony way to look at this. Because nobody associated accessibility with woke. Who did? Who said this? There've been other games that had accessibility features. Whatever.
At all. I think the people who need this accessibility don't give a shit. And they should deserve respect. And they should deserve
what if they're an asshole?
Attention. And now they're not getting it.
I mean, this like forced respect thing, like, I mean, yeah, you shouldn't be outwardly hateful to people, obviously, like, nobody should be, like, just negative like that, but you also don't need to, like, you see a disabled person, you bend over for them, like, you don't need to do that either, because, there are people, like, it's all, like, common courtesy, basically.
I feel like we went 10 steps forward in 2020, and now we've gone 72 steps back.
But the thing is, okay, let's talk about this then, right? So let's say that, woke gave us accessibility features. Yay, woke. They gave us accessibility features. So instead of, like, being concerned with people around him that are against woke and they don't like woke agendas and this and that, what if they're the problem and they're the ones holding back all this other stuff? Because you can still make games regardless and this and that. Like, you can make a good story and all this other stuff. But instead of, like, blaming these companies that have the position of power to have accessibility, we're blaming one guy that made a game that had a liberal agenda that also had accessibility features. Like, this is kind of weird.
Because this idiot couldn't get over his own goddamn selfishness and ego. And the funny part about it is, Druckmann, you could tell with the way he behaved when Last of Us Part 1 came out. He thought for sure he was going to be accepted as the bridge of video games and TV.
Like, again, how does he not know? Like, how does he know why, you picked accessibility? Anyway, as I said before, like, these decisions could literally be just, well, it's not worth it. Why put money into this? And it's like, okay.
He was going to be the guy who everyone was going to want to be involved with their projects and consult or direct their shows. Literally,
Again, where did DSP get this idea that that's what Neil wanted to do? Like, he's just getting this just off this fact that, like, they made a TV show that he was also involved in, or he wanted to be involved in, and then he showed up to an award show. Like, yeah, it's a silly picture, but I mean, I'm sure if people like looked, they could find other silly pictures of people that are just there and they don't get any attention. Like, who cares? And who knows the context of that picture? But whatever. Okay.
Hollywood has rejected him. No one in Hollywood wants anything to do with.
How does he know that he was? If he was rejected, he wouldn't have gone season 2 of The Last of Us, and then they would have canceled season 3 or told him that they're changed. Like, the other thing is, just because they greenlight season 3, that doesn't mean that they can't cancel it or that they can't change it. They could just tell them, like, yeah, we greenlighted it, but we're actually gonna like change it. We're not gonna have Neil Druckmann involved anymore, or they could just force him out. Like, all these studios have done shitty things like that before. Why would they stop now?
To do with this man. They see him for the egotistical jerk that he is. No one likes him. When he went to the red carpet to pose like most people do and everyone rushes to take pictures, no one knew who he was and no one cared. He just stood there like this and everyone
I
just
like
kind of
that
laughed.
he claims that trolls oh my god, now I'm blanking on the word he said a lot. Contrapulate? Oh my god, I can't remember the word. But he's doing the same thing to Neil as he claims that people do to him.
Laughed at him. He's falling apart as a game developer. He was supposed to make a whole Last of Us multiplayer game and canceled the whole goddamn thing.
But look at the landscape of live service games. This dude's like, well, look, they said they were gonna do a multiplayer game. They didn't do. He's still butthurt about this. When it's like, okay, yeah, but they wanted to make it a live service game when Sony was chasing live service games. Look what happened to live service games, Phil. They're all failing, right? So if they did make it, I guarantee this fucker is gonna say, "Oh, look at Neil Druckmann." So he sees that the live service games are flopping left and right, and what does he do? He continues making a live service game. Ah, what an idiot! That's what he would have said. And this is like insane clown mode. How this dude like is sitting there saying, "Oh, I can't believe they stopped the." As if he gives a fuck, dude. He would play it like for one stream and say, "That was it, man," and never look back.
Damn thing. Now his new game that he's trying to pump out also is being micro-analyzed and ripped apart.
Remember when he used to shut on people for micro-analyzing trailers? People are micro-analyzing the Fallout trailer. Like, they're having these lore videos. What a bunch of idiots! And now it's okay to micro-analyze a teaser trailer for a game that's coming out eventually. And like all this other people are analyzing it is like stupid shit. Guys, she sucked on a straw, silly. I can't believe this. This is woke. She doesn't have any hair. It's like this is what we're gonna like listen to. Oh my god, guys! She has like no hair. She shaves her hair. Wow. And she has a red jacket. Okay, wow, a red jacket. And she drinks boba tea or whatever the fuck, and she raises her eyebrows. Wow. Like, I mean, I understand that people may not like, they may be tired of like the kind of the trope that they're pushing and whatever. But it's just, there's a lot of like nonsense criticisms that are just kind of silly to like to dive into and say that these have any grounds for like shitting on a game. Like, you can say you don't like the character, that's like one thing, but people are like shitting on the game based on these things that have nothing to do with it, which is like kind of like I don't know what else to tell you. I don't know, man. It's just weird shit.
Apart for these leftist woke agendas. The guy doesn't even learn. He keeps going.
So
you know what I'm
so now he's saying that he doesn't even learn. So like he should just make games that he doesn't want to make for other people. This is coming from the guy that says, "Phil, look at the streamers around you. Why don't you copy your betters?" I don't want to copy my betters. I want to do what I want to do. but Neil wants to do what he wants to do. Neil should conform to society, okay? He should be like everyone else. One day he's saying people should not conform, the next day everyone should conform. Ah, yes.
What I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying?
So, the truth is, the writing was on the wall to begin with, but some people are just so up their own ass that they don't want to listen. And it's sad because I feel like when you
But
have someone like this,
what
in
if
a
he
position,
listened to people and they gave him worse advice though? Like, oh, you don't like the woke stuff? Okay, let's put it all like I don't know.
of power,
whatever,
someone who was
right?
given a lot of attention and money, because let's face it, he made a lot of money on the games, being the head of Naughty Dog. All right, he feels infallible. He feels like he's
How do you
able
know
to say
that?
and do whatever he wants. He can
I
push
love that he says that he read an article saying that he was concerned about public opinion. DSP mocked him for feeling that way, and now he's like, he feels invincible. Like, this is why it's like infuriating when DSP has these kind of rants, because it's like, you know you can never win. And not like that Neil Druckmann's gonna like wake up like I need Phil to like agree with me. I need Phil to be on my side. There's like no point. But it's just so insane. This dude will sit there and say like, oh, Neil Druckmann was scared. What a loser. What a baby. He has a cower in a room. Yeah, he feels infallible, man. He feels indestructible. When did he feel that way? He like there's no consistency in like everything he says about Neil Druckmann is just in the moment. It's just in the moment shit.
push whatever agenda he wants, but he doesn't look at the people around him. He doesn't read the room. And because of that, here we are now in 2025. Naughty Dog is a shell of its former self. Things that once were successful are failing.
I mean, I think people were like shitting on like not necessarily shitting on Naughty Dog, but kind of feeling that they're a shell of their former self in the sense that like they started their career with like not with Crash Bandicoot, and then like they made Uncharted, and then that's kind of where all their game development went to making those kind of games, like nothing else. I mean, but that also extends to Sony. Like there was an article like 2 weeks ago or so where they were saying like how uh they're gonna like shelve Little Big Planet because Astrobot is their new mascot. And I read that and it's like, that's kind of bleak. Like, now we're just gonna get, the only way we'll get like any whimsy characters from Sony is through Astrobot. Not through their other thousands of IPs that they're sitting on. Like, I kind of think that might have a higher contribution to the notion of oh, this is like a shell of their former self than a person who just wanted to make a video game that's The Last of Us 2 and Heretic Prophet or whatever the fuck the new game's called.
And we've now taken a massive step back in games accessibility. And there's only one guy to look at and point the finger at and blame. The Druckster.
Not these other people in charge that have the power to get this done, but Neil. That's the problem. Not these executives who don't want to put budgeting money into accessibility. Not those people. Neil. Okay, makes sense.
I don't have a personal agenda against the guy. I just call it like it is. The guy fucked up so bad, he single-handedly injured the games industry. Why do you think that we had a pattern of games like Dragon Age Veilguard or Assassin's Creed Shadows? It's because they looked at Last of Us 2 and all said, I want a piece of that. If we...
But like, Last of Us 2 did not have a scene that was as cringe as fucking the Veilguard. Like, that taking a barf scene that DSP loves so much to talk about is like the only reason why I don't like that scene isn't because she took a barf. I think the other character be like, so let's explain the meaning of genuine apology. Like that kind of stuff that's a little bit ham-fisted. But there was no like part of The Last of Us 2 that felt that way. Like this is kind of like he's just seeing what he wants to see, basically.
If we jump into that fad, we too will be successful. And instead, we've now seen multiple high priority, once successful AAA gaming franchises fizzle, fail, and flounder because they all wanted to copy the leftist agenda. And now
Oh my
we're all
god.
suffering
This
for
is
it.
literally the meme of like, dude, the fucking woke agenda is deadly. Okay, okay, man.
We
Sure.
look at the games that are coming out and we're like, why do they all suck? Why
Why?
can't we trust that a new game that comes out is good when it's from a tried and true studio? Because they all just chase the fad. They didn't even care. That's the saddest part about all of it.
Oh my
I just
god.
want to make this abundantly clear.
Like, dude, corporations always chase the fad, but instead of like blaming corporate tendencies, we're blaming like arbitrary, like just random stuff. Like that's kind of what this him bitching about woke really is, just random stuff, just whatever like shoots out of his head. Because like, uh, a lot like the Veilguard is from EA. When was the last game that people were like bouncing for EA? There weren't many. Like they did Battlefront 1, the reboot, whatever, and people hated that because it was just multiplayer only. It was not, it just wasn't fun. Whatever. Then they did Battlefront 2, which gave a campaign, but then it had all this like microtransaction bullshit. And since then, all these other companies are just chasing money trends. So I don't think it's necessarily woke is what's causing this industry fatigue or whatever. I think it's just these corporate greed. What a shocker!
No one who's making these games and inserting this leftist rhetoric into it cares about the rhetoric.
How
I'm
how
going
do
to
you
repeat
know?
myself. None
How does he know that nobody cares who worked on this? Like, this is a crazy claim. This is like, he'd be so mad if I'm like, yeah, DSP doesn't care about his content being meaningful. He says that it's meaningful, but I don't think he cares. He'd be like, I do care. I do care about meaningful content. Like, what if I make the claim he doesn't care?
none of them care about the rhetoric. They don't actually believe that this leftist rhetoric is good for society or good for us and we need to accept it. They're just trying to make
What
money.
what about games that push the right agenda? Is that should we say it the same way? Now, of course, you can say yes, dude, but like, you know, but like, what about what J.K. Rowling believed in Hogwarts Legacy, right? What if that game she sees as the validation of her beliefs, and what about that, Phil? What about that? What are you gonna say about that?
They
Yes.
think that it was hot. It was the big thing that Druckmann made mainstream. So we've got to push it and we're going to make money
Uh,
doing it.
but
That's why
but people were claiming so many games were woke before Last of Us 2 was even like conceived.
they
Okay.
did it. And now it's all flopped
This
and
this is just a product of like a dude who's like terminally online that all he sees is just like Twitter trends, Twitter discourse debates. Like he would just go on and on. I'm part of me is kind of glad he's not into Guilty Gear because imagine this dude like during the peak of Bridget discourse. Like oh man, like I would not want to be around because every day you go to Twitter, sometimes you'll either see Naruto, or Bridget trending, and I know immediately what I'm gonna see if I click that. It's always the same shit. And even say, see, it's our society because look at what they saw on Twitter. It's like, yeah, because this fucking site like pushes a lot of like fucking discourse bullshit. Like all these people that are just like trying to bait engagement. Like that's all this is. And he's basing all this off of that. Like he goes to the Twitter, it's like just read every check mark, everything that's negative about it. It's like this is the success of the algorithm will land you. This is what this oh my god, this dude was like scientifically made to fall for every marketing algorithmic test. Because this dude will like read up online like, oh yeah, man, like yeah, woke is doing this. Oh, can you believe they did this, man? Because of that, man. I read this on Twitter. And look at these people saying this kind of stuff. But he doesn't like want to apply his own critical thinking or at all give like the developers any benefit of the doubt. Just immediately writes them off as if they don't care or that they don't believe in what they wrote or whatever. But what if they did? How do you know what these people mean or what they believe? Do you talk to them every day? Do you have DMs of these people saying, "Yeah, I never cared for. I didn't believe that women could have muscles. I never believed that." Like, where is this coming from?
And failed. It's pathetic. It's sad. And all of us were saying it. And it's not because I'm not going to take credit, say it was me. It was everyone. There was a ton of people talking about this since 2020 to the point where people were like, we're tired of hearing about it. All right, fine. I'll stop talking about it then. And I did. But now.
No, he didn't. No, that's not true. He kept talking about it. That's such a lie. See, I didn't talk about it. He talked about every chance he took. Every chance he took. Like, there was stuff that Neil wasn't even like Neil announced that fucking Heretic Prophet game. And all that was just a teaser. And he's like, guys, Neil's gonna wake up and realize Trump's our president. He's gonna cry. And it's like, geez, he just showed a new game. We don't know anything about this game, and he's already talking as if, like, this game is Last of Us 2 remastered in disguise. Like, it's actually a Last of Us 2 remaster, guys. It's just a code name.
All of that shit, as they say, what do they say? The chickens have come back to roost. It's all happening right now. It's going down live right in front of us.
Right.
Society has rejected politics in games. We just want games. Now society is rejecting these politics in TV shows. We just want good TV shows. We're tired.
But what if, like, these people who watch shows that have a political theme and they just don't pick up on it, so they don't know, and then when they make it a little bit more obvious, then they're like, this is political, huh? Whatever.
Tired of all of your political agenda horseshit. Okay?
I don't believe it. Like, what is the political horseshit in Last of Us 2? Like, people didn't like it because they didn't like the revenge story. They didn't like Abby because they killed Joel at the beginning. Like, if you want to bring up, like, the stuff that's woke, it's like, is it really worth being upset that there's a character that's trans? No, I think the character is fine. Because it works for the character and where this person came from. Like, I don't remember much about the story stuff. Like, I don't even, so, whatever. But, like, all this stuff it made sense in this story. From what I remember. Going off my memory, guys. Give me some slack. But, it's that. Then it's like, okay, Abby has muscles. Okay, like, what's so harmful about having having Abby be a muscular woman? How is that a bad thing? And then it's like, well, then, like, why can't they cast? I mean, not every bodybuilder wants to be an actor. So the actress, who is a bodybuilder, may not have existed for the role, or may not have been right for the role for how they act in front of a camera. Like, it's just, all these decisions are different. And also, like, the casting is different for the game and for show. In games, you can, like, craft any character you want. So of course they're gonna craft a woman that's mostly to drive the point home that she was dedicated to killing Joel. Like, there's all this stuff that goes into the forming of a character. Like, again, we have Chris Redfield in Resident Evil 5 with, like, huge ass arms, and people joked about it, but they were ultimately okay with it. But we have Abby, and suddenly it's like, well, this is a bridge too far in this game with, like, flower monsters. I mean, it's like, whatever. You don't have to like every design or anything like that. That's like, I'm not saying you have to love everything, but I don't think it's, like, necessarily harmful that they simply just exist.
You see, Bookworm says, no, I actually think that the game devs drink the Kool-Aid. I'm not going to say that some of them don't. I think all it takes...
Now we're looking back and saying that, oh, some of them don't. Some of them do, though. Oh, okay, but how do you, like, know? And how, and what degree? Like, and also, like, are we really going to do thought police discussions about this? He's kind of like saying, yeah, some of them do believe it and some don't believe it. Like, does it matter? What if they do believe it? Is that bad? Why should we say it's bad? Why are we gonna go after these people for what they believe in, Phil? I thought we don't do that.
Very simply, is to look at how some of these people post and the stuff that they're doing. I get what you're saying, but I don't think it's everyone. I fully believe that the people who are in power of these AAA studios, the only reason you suddenly saw this sharp shift to this liberal leftist agenda is money.
But
That's
like,
it.
but this is like, see, this is kind of like the frustrating aspect of it, right? So, everyone's like, "Oh, why are you doing this?" Like, okay, but like, in order for this to be like normalized or to be seen as like, remember, you have to see more of these. Like, everyone keeps talking about like this has this sharp incline. Okay, but if you push back on this now, and then we start like seeing less representation in games or in media in general, then when are we gonna have these representations return? Like, because then if like let's say in like 8 years from now we get a new show that has a gay character as the main character. What's to say someone coming seeing that thing? Wow, guys, this is a sharp turn to this. Wow, can you believe that? And it's like, of course they're gonna feel like sharp to some people, but how else are they supposed to be represented? Like, why do gay characters and all these other things have to go through like a safe way to be implemented, but we can just throw like heteronormative shit all over the place and not think much about that? I mean, this is like a very loaded topic, but it's just kind of like it's just frustrating to hear from DSP because it's just a dude that doesn't like understand any of this.
They saw Last of Us 2 get Game of the Year, and everyone say, "Oh, if you don't like it, you're a bigot." And they said, "We got to do that. We got to get those sales."
But like, look what he's like simplifying this down as. Like, do you think that Neil Druckmann making that tweet was a marketable thing when he apologized like shortly after? Like, it wasn't like Neil Druckmann like apologized a month later or a year later or whatever. It was like right after. Like, what significance does that have in the game industry? Like, this is such a like nonsense argument. Like, this is really like culture war shit if you're on like Bleach and then you bash your head into a wall 1,000 times. Then this discourse may make sense.
If we make woke games, people will say, "Hey, you got to buy our games or else you're a bigot." So everyone's going to be almost forced to.
But then how come like these other developers didn't say that? Like Veilguard, I think the most that they said was like, from what I remember, like something like, "We don't care if the people who don't like it don't buy it or whatever. Like, if you don't like it, don't buy it." And then they didn't buy it, right? Like, okay, that's not really. They didn't call them bigots. They just say, "Hey, you don't like it, don't buy it." And then they didn't buy it. And that's pretty much it. Like, Ask Creed Shadows, I don't think ever even made a statement like that. I think they just kept saying like, "No, it's fine, dude." Like, I don't know. Like, it's such a headache to go between what was said and what was going on in that time.
To buy them. And you want to talk about an ass backwards way to make money? We're going to just do it because it's the easy way to do it and force people to do it rather than earn it by making a good product.
Wait, what?
And you want to talk about an ass backwards way to make money? We're going to just do it because it's the easy way to do it and force people to do it rather than earn it by making a good product.
But what do they think it's a good
product? And those
product,
are the people
though?
who are in charge of gaming today.
Okay,
Gee, I wonder why
whatever.
all these games suck, right?
yeah, man.
Anyway,
Definitely because
so that's that.
woke,
I'd be very curious to actually see how The Last of Us Season 2 will end in the ratings. And I'm actually curious what's going to happen in regards to the show's third season.
But see, like, this is what's annoying, though. Like, he's not watching it. He has no, like, investment in it. All he cares about is the ratings and the reaction of people have with it. Like, this is tourist behavior. Like, if you're gonna talk about this, then watch the show. then watch it, please.
Because if in Season 2, only 4 to 5 episodes into an 8-episode season, they've lost half the viewership.
Half?
And someone just made an interesting point. They said, "Are you aware that AEW Wrestling, which actually isn't even doing that well, is actually now getting more views than The Last of Us per episode?"
Okay.
What the hell? That's insane to think of. The second to third fiddle wrestling promotion, right?
I don't watch wrestling. It must be failing.
Is actually doing better.
The villain is trying
How
to
funny is that?
Gaslight Film. I think it's canceled. Season 3 is canceled. DSP Gaming.
All right.
Yes.
Well,
Phil,
I think I've said enough
sure
of that.
is.
I'll be following the story if any new developments happen.
Of course he is. Of course he is.
We got a few shout outs to do. We have X replies, no one takes the cesspit seriously. Super chat.
Oh boy.
Who basically is saying some things here. Says X comments are not reflective of a sane society. Look at your own X replies. No one takes the cesspit seriously anymore. Listen, I am not one.
Listen, I just read them and said, wow, okay?
To say that social media is the best place to actually get the true opinion on anything. But, again, it's not just that. The show is getting reviewed poorly. The
but I also got
viewership
good
has
reviews.
dropped off. The
like,
one selling
again, like there's been user reviews of things and that I disagreed with their review. Now I'm not gonna sit there and say, well, they're a fake reviewer. They're this or that. But you know, it's also like believable that there are people who are bad actors who just go to things and review bomb it anyway. I mean, that's like part of the pool of reviews you're reading. You're either gonna read genuine reviews that don't like it, reviews that genuinely like it, people who didn't watch it who say they love it, people who didn't watch it who say that they hate it. Like you're gonna see all this stuff in most user reviews. Like it's not even taken seriously anymore in a greater meaning. But whatever, okay.
Factor of any show is its viewership, because that's how you sell it to advertisers. That's how you sell it for budget considerations. And if the viewership is now half now of what it was in season 1, in perspective, okay, The Last of Us 2, because of what Druckmann did, not only won Game of the Year, but sold like crazy because of it. Everyone was told it was the best game ever, so they ran out and bought it.
No, it sold well at launch, by the way, because literally, you're making a sequel to The Last of Us. And of course, people are going to either who didn't pay attention to the leaks, or they're like, no, I'm going to see this for myself. Because who knows like how much of the leaks are true? Maybe the leaks are like misconstrued or whatever the fuck. Like, part of free thinking is experiencing things for yourself, Philip.
A lot of people disagreed, but they still bought it. The show is not doing that at all. No one is saying The Last of Us Season 2 is the best TV show there is right now, and the viewership is halved. So it's completely the opposite of what happened with the game is what's happening with the show right now. And that has nothing to do with X. Okay? We got a couple of tips here.
But you're using X replies to whatever, okay. I get what he means, but sure, buddy. I mean, that... Not exactly why you brought that up, but okay.
They have to call Microsoft to fix the issue.
Okay, and then he was like fear-mongering about Doom, the Dark Age is not working, which was very funny. But let's see, let's do a vibe check on today. We come into Dead Silence. That was great. I think it made only $15. But let's go. Oh God. Oh. Retro linked me to this and said some slander about me. He was like, oh, Bethu's in shambles. Why would I be in shambles? I think it's kind of bad when companies get compromised like that, okay? And then they say that no passwords were exploited, so I think that's good. You know what I'm saying? You gotta take the good with the bad, but at least something was being done, correct? Okay, let's see what's on the docket. See, this is 2 hours in.
What is going on, everyone? On today's show, we've got some interesting stories, including Kick has been having major issues this week in multiple different ways. I want to tell you the story of what happened yesterday where people were left scratching their heads saying that I was still broadcasting all day long, even though I had ended my stream. In addition, Mortal Kombat 1 is officially done because it is going to be releasing a definitive edition.
Isn't it like a definitive edition season? Well, I don't care. I don't care about MK1, and we're going to dance on its grave, as always, because we hate it.
Edition But this also has people scratching their heads because Ed Boon had said there was going to be much more content. So what happened? But on the
But
flip side of that,
isn't it just definitive edition for season 1?
a lot
Okay.
of people are rejoicing for the end of this game. And lastly, Steam has had a
Wait.
content. So what happened? But on the flip side of that, a lot of people are rejoicing for the end
Oh.
of this game. And lastly,
Okay.
Steam
I mean,
has had a data breach. And for a day or two, everyone was freaking out about this, saying, "Oh no, all of our data is going to be."
I gotta say, I love DSP like belittling data breaches. Yeah, very ironic coming from the guy who has bank account leaked, right? And this dude is like, "Oh wow, these people are freaking out." Dude, everything is online, stupid. Like, I think data breaches are gonna be a bigger deal, if anything, moving forward in life. Like, dude, it's never good when there's a data breach. Like, dude, that's why it's like so funny to me that Good Smile. I've stopped ordering from Good Smile, by the way, because of this. They had a data breach last year in July. By the way, I didn't know in July at that time. It only came out like public knowledge by like December, and they're like, oh yeah, people's like they had a data breach the whole time and like didn't say anything, and at that point it started to make sense. Like I started seeing all these like bogus like charges, which I caught and I got them like canceled, all this stuff, like anyone else would in that time. But I was like, it makes sense now. I'd see why because of that. So and to this day, Gizmo has said nothing about it. Now they didn't change payment processors. That they did, but they didn't say anything. They didn't address it. They did not even like try to reassure people or anything. It was crazy, and it's like, yeah, I'm not buying from them anymore. Like, I think the last thing I got from them, it was a ABBA plushie, because ABBA's the GOAT, obviously, and I got the Chimera Fallon thing, which I'm just gonna say, if this Chimera Fallon is affected by these stupid fucking tariffs, I'm gonna be mad. I was hyped for this fucking thing, and I risked a lot of stuff to get it too, dude. And if I can't get it with these fucking tariffs, I'm gonna fly to wherever they're making it. I'm gonna pick it up personally. Anyways, let's go. But I just like him belittling a data breach, like as if like you're dumb for freaking out. No, I think people like kind of have a right to freak out because sometimes people like put their payment information in that, and they don't want that to be compromised for very obvious reasons, right, Phil?
Going to be exposed. Well, the truth of the matter has finally been reached, and it's not so bad. So we'll have all of this
Of
to
course,
talk
it's like,
about,
it's
plus
like,
the usual chill vibes, updates on all the games I'm playing, and more
wait,
on today's
I'm gonna
episode
do my own intro
of the
with
Level 1
this.
Podcast.
Oh my god, this is going. What is going on? No! He fumbled.
Yo, what's going on?
Oh my god, I hate when he does that shit. I hate it. I hate it.
It actually was real. So it's frustrating for me because, as you guys know, I want to give you credit for every piece of.
Okay.
I opened OBS again. No, it didn't say I was broadcast. I wasn't the first hour of gameplay. I said I split.
Okay,
To make matters worse, It did finalize the data.
Okay, I don't care about
Are
this.
line level people who sit probably in a call center style office, and all they do, it didn't help me at all. I tested for like a half an hour. This is going to be a huge problem.
Oh
All right.
God.
So I didn't know what to do. I ended the stream. I said, I tested for like a half an hour. I couldn't get this to stop happening. So finally, I wrote Kick Support. Okay. And I'm going to be honest, because you know I'm an honest guy.
Yeah, he's a very
Kick
honest
Support
guy.
didn't help me at all.
Oh.
The people who work at Kick Support are line level people who sit probably in a call center style office, and all they do is read form letter responses, or they pass off the information to another department to fix. But for the most part, just like all customer support, all right, Kick
What?
Support is
No,
there to get
I
you.
like that he never accused. So when YouTube has some weird glitch, he's like, YouTube's probably rolling out a feature and it'll fuck the website up. We're a bunch of idiots. But he hasn't, I don't think, ever accused Kick of that same thing where maybe they're instituting a new change on the Kick and it's fucking the website up.
You
They're fucking idiots.
off the line and stop bothering them. Like literally, I get the feeling that's probably how they're judged, their criteria. Did you get that customer to stop talking to you in the shortest amount of time? At the same time, I also sent one to tech support because there's two different things you can send logs to. You go to regular support or tech support.
Okay.
So Kick Support immediately responds to me like within 5 minutes and is like, well, can you send us screenshots of what you're talking about? Sure. So I sent a screenshot of...
So then why didn't you do that initially? Okay. Because maybe the customer support is for like viewer end shit. Like, oh, I try to log in and I can't log in. I don't know, whatever.
The screen showing that this stream was still running even though I wasn't broadcasting. Okay? Then I sent a screenshot.
Like, you wouldn't think it would have tech support first because it seems like a tech issue.
My actual kick dash going on. I don't know why. All right? I was in the office an extra like 40. What are we going to do? I'm going to wait. Now send us screenshots showing us evidence of what you're talking about. I said, that's what I just did.
Uh-oh.
So I came into the office and I took screenshots again. All right.
All right.
And I sent them different ones because the thing is on the mobile app versus the desktop, they look different. It's the same data, but it looks different. So I took a different screenshot.
So then that's probably whatever.
I sent it again. I tried to like step by step explain to them how it works. Like
he should have like used his phone and recorded and like, look, I sent you a video.
This is how it works. This is the queue. This is where it shows my archive stream. This is when it says if it's running or if it's done or if it's been validated. This is showing if I'm
Oh my god, dude.
live or not. And this, you know, you got to talk to them like they're a 4-year-old because they don't know anything. They literally just sit in an office and have like step-by-step instructions of how to do things.
It would be so funny if like, because I don't think like Kick is like it. Well, I don't know. I don't know much about Kick's dev team, but if they're like not as professional, let's say, as Twitch, I wonder what would happen.
Understand the site. So I'm trying to explain to them, here's how it works, right? So then,
and they give you look.
They respond back to me again. Now it's like the middle of the night, and they go, "Oh, well, we don't see what you're talking about anymore. But we do know that yesterday when you were streaming, there were site-wide issues with viewer counts. The viewer counts were glitched across the entire site, and therefore that's going to affect things." Okay?
What?
So I said, what do they mean? I don't understand what they're saying. So I came back in here in the middle of the night and I checked. It seemed to resolve itself. So finally, it was like ridiculously long. I mean, I had stopped streaming at what, like 10? So this was like maybe like 12, 1 in the morning. So 3+ hours had passed. Now the stream didn't say it was streaming anymore. Okay? But now it had said, your stream ended, validated that your stream actually only ran 5 hours rather than like 11, which is what it had said on the page. And you have earned $0 for your stream. Huh?
Huh? Wait a minute.
So I wrote back to them and I said, it's great that the stream ended, but it's telling me that I'm not getting any earnings for anything I streamed yesterday. $0. This is obviously not correct. Can you look into it? And they said, oh, no, it's all correct. You know, our viewer data was wrong and your payment is based on viewer data. So because viewer data is glitched, we can't pay you.
Yeah. Dude, yeah, because how if the viewer count's glitched, how can they verify what is real? Like, I like he's like, yeah, can you believe that? Yeah, because like, dude, this is what I was saying when he got into this program. It's like, this doesn't, like, how does it work? Because it sounds like it would be something that would like bleed them money. So of course, if it's glitched, because if it's glitched, then it's like, okay, so we owe you like, what if it's glitched in the game, in the site, like, accounts for the hours he wasn't even streaming, or that, like, oh, let's say that, like, he was view botted 10,000 views. Like this is kind of like stupid.
Now, at the end of the day, it's actually not a big deal. It's one day's revenue. And I didn't have a giant stream yesterday where I had thousands of viewers and I was going to make big bucks or anything.
But I thought you
know
make
what I'm
money
saying?
with other stuff, though.
But literally, they said it's
I
our
love that this thing is like, oh, it doesn't make me a lot of money, but it's kind of nice. To then be like, oh my god, like, accents of the skies over this is not a big deal. Like, dude, like, why do you care so much about the ad revenue thing, whatever, if it doesn't give you that much money?
problem. We screwed up. We acknowledged that the view counts were wrong yesterday and we had site bugs. But by the way, because of that, we're not paying you.
Because they don't know what's the right view count. Because what if, like, the site thinks you have 10,000 when you had, like, 2?
Let me think about
oh my god,
how well
dude,
that
are
would
you
hold
stupid?
up in court.
Oh
Not
my
that it matters.
god.
Again, and I actually did respond
Not that
back
it
and I said,
matters. Can you,
listen,
like, fucking, like,
I don't
eat
care
your
about
mic?
the lost day. I really don't. It's not a big deal. I'm actually grateful that you guys are even paying me in the partner program.
Oh my god, and then he's like, well, actually, you guys are cool. I love you guys. Guys, can you, like, you know, not be mad. Don't hold grudges against me, man.
I don't give a shit that I lost a day. But I need to know that this issue won't happen again. Please forward this to your tech team. And that's where we left it.
They
now,
should tell
the
him,
entire
fuck
question
off.
here is, I wonder, did the actual issue on my stream get resolved because I also had emailed tech support? Now, they never responded, but maybe someone in tech support looked at it and said, oh, crap, this is a glitch stream, and just ended it on their end, right? And then it's good. But I don't know.
Didn't they
I don't know
tell
what
you
actually
that?
ended the stream because it was running
They-
for over like 12
They
hours.
told him that there was a glitch.
And I
Whatever.
couldn't end it.
Okay.
My problem here is I don't know if it's going to happen again. It very well may happen again where it shows
I
that
love
I'm
it.
online.
Like,
I'm not
like,
online. There were
look
people
out
that
for
were
Kate.
very
I
confused.
love this fake concern.
They were coming by saying, it
yes,
says
when
you're live. What are you
It
broadcasting?
only affects him.
Wait, there's nothing here. People, I guess I gotten a notification that I was live and thought, oh, he's still live. So they were joining and there was nothing there. Okay? And I do want to say thank you because 6 subs to the channel. And they kind of, when I was having this pain in the ass.
I don't care anymore about this. Let's go to the gamer news. That's what I care about.
Are you aware that everyone's data is at risk? That everyone's data has been put on.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Okay, what? Okay. Oh man, I kind of want to do this, but we're like at 3 hours. This will be another far. Okay, this is what I'll do. I'm gonna end this recording. This will be its own video. Then I'll do another video about this because I'm sure it's gonna be something very fucking stupid. So thank you for watching this video about the Naughty Dog situation. I'll see you in the next one. All right. Bye.